Oh wow, everything just worked today. Oh my god, I'm just keep going to do the same messages last time.
All right.
Let's get some more people in. Did the thumbs down emoji. All these crazy people.
Some people just don't like getting pings, as I
Yeah,
hear every day.
it's okay. It's like an upvote and downvote ratio. That's fun. Um, so, well, hopefully some people are happy that we're doing this. We'll give everyone a few minutes. We usually get like, I don't know, probably get 1,000, 1,200 people, somewhere between 1,000, 1,200, and then we'll give it start. We really need our waiting music.
Yeah.
I say it every time, and then I like forget literally the second I finish. Am I coming through okay, Ancient?
What was that?
Am I coming through okay? I'm not breaking up. It sounds okay.
You sound a bit distorted, but we can hear you fine.
Like, maybe I should switch then. I'll switch then real fast while we're waiting for people to come in.
All right.
Hello. Hello, hello.
Oh, that sounds weird. There's like an after effect on your voice now.
Oh. Hello.
Oh, much better.
Oh, okay. Great. Hello. Am I back?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think we've leveled off about 1,000 people today. Forgot to give everyone head notice ahead of time, so thank you everyone for coming. We do these every Wednesday at noon. And basically, what we do is we start off talking about what we've been thinking about lately, what's sort of going on, what's upcoming, and then we basically just do a few hours of questions where anybody can ask anything they'd like to ask. To try to keep it organized, the Chaos is here who calls up on people in the audience, and if you want to put a question into the question sheet, they will like pick people out and try to put them on stage and try to have a good different variety of questions, and we'll try to get through as many as we can. Yeah. So thank you everyone for coming. Let's see what's been going on. Well, I feel a little bad that we haven't released anything in the past few weeks. We are working on a lot of really cool stuff though, and if anything, we have to make sure that when we release it, we spread it out a little bit. We don't want to release like 10 features on the same day, but we do have a lot of really cool stuff coming. Let's see, what are the things I can talk about? there's at least 3 things that I don't want to talk about, which is fun. But like we're trying to do some like new and crazy features that aren't just like making regular pictures with text, but are related. And so we're gonna try to branch out in a way and like have more of these features. I think it'll be really fun. Some things that I probably could talk about that are related, but some examples, I guess, that would be like related, but ones that I feel comfortable saying ahead of time would be like we'll try to add in a system where people can go put their images in and get text back out, so that way they can kind of try to get a sense of like understanding how the system sees images and give them ideas on how to like craft prompts to make certain things. So a lot of people have asked for that. We're going to do that. I don't know if that's going to be this week or next week, but I think it'll be relatively soon. And then let's see. We tried to make a better upscaler that was a little more creative. It didn't work. We do have an upscaler that's going to do high resolution. That is going to work, but it is like waiting on the bigger servers that are coming. We're going to get like a bunch of new types of servers in the next, let's say, month or two, and they'll like be much faster and much higher resolution. So that's going to be exciting. We do have some new models being trained, which are like the vibe models, and we don't know yet if we know the vibe models will feel like V3 but be better. We don't know yet if they'll also be more coherent than the sort of like test and test P ones. Our hope is that they're both more coherent and more vibey. We know they're vibey, but they're not finished training yet. And so part of the training is like when it starts off, it like is sort of very vague, and then it becomes more and more coherent over time the longer you train it. And so we see it trending pretty good. We don't know yet sort of where it will end up, but it's trending really good. And that's totally new model. It's gonna it'll be able to do image prompts again. It'll be able to it's not gonna have as many issues with like nudity and stuff, which will be great. It should be faster, high resolution. Like it's gonna be really good in a lot of ways. That said, we don't know if like where it's gonna land when it finishes. Like, will it be just better than V3? Will it also be better? Will it like basically how much will it like immediately be better than everything and become the new default model? We literally don't have a way of knowing. But I'm just kind of being open and showing people like what's going on. So that's one thing that's really exciting for the team right now, is to see that model every single day getting better. We are also working on some new versions of the test and test P, where we're working on a version that will do much wider aspect ratios and much bigger batches. So the goal is to like let people do like any aspect ratio again and do batches of 4 all the time without a quality loss. We are also working on a quality boost, so like fixing the framing issues where sometimes it splits images, sometimes it does really weird sort of compositions, and making it more consistent but also more beautiful. So we have those things all looking promising. I would say making the quality higher and the consistency better is something that's like basically already working. But the version that like does like batches of 4 and high aspect ratios is a quality loss right now. We're waiting for it to like finish training, and like in theory, as it trains more, it will like have no quality loss. And we don't know how long that'll take. It could be literally a week. It could be literally 10 days, or it could be like 2. It's just basically every other day we like test it and we see like, is it good now? Is it good now? Is it good now? And then just the models every single day are getting better. And so the good news is that we have multiple model tracks, both ones on the test side and on just a totally new like the vibe systems that are both training like rapidly and getting better every day and seem to be good. So like fingers crossed. You never know if it's gonna work, but it's the thing that we're most excited about right now. As we have the new models, like a lot of this comes from new training infrastructure where we're training on these giant supercomputers that have never been used before for image generation. Everyone's very excited about that working, because if that works, we're going to be able to like start adding tons of really weird features that are really, really expensive to train. And so this is one of the nice things. Thank you, community, for supporting us, because now we're going to take the money that you've given us and we're going to reinvest them in like making way cooler stuff. And so that's kind of this, is that we've taking some of the community money, investing it into this giant supercomputer thing, and training like really new, intense versions of the models that are specifically around what people are asking for. So like trying to make it as artistic as possible, as vibey as possible, like having better composition, wider aspect ratios, and like lots of really interesting features. Like we might add alpha or something at some point so people can get transparency. Like all sorts of really cool stuff are going to come out of that. And so that new infrastructure seems to be functioning, and hopefully we'll see the fruits of it soon. It's been bumpy road. Like I don't know if we mentioned it all the time, but like the supercomputer got like taken down for 2 weeks because it needed like they had to like physically make changes, and then there were new drivers, and the drivers just broke all of our infrastructure. We had to rewrite it. So like because we're kind of trying to use some like exotic new chips, basically there's always uncertainty, and sometimes things happen, and it just puts us behind. But my hope is that like in the long run, because we're in it for the long run, like investing into these sort of new technologies, new pieces of infrastructure are just going to give us a lot of really cool stuff. And so I like to invest in the long term. And so thank you for letting us do that. Let's see. What else? Dun-dun-dun. Hopefully, we'll expand the testing of the web-based image creation soon. There's been some bugs on the back end that meant it wasn't ready for more users. And we're testing it with a few hundred right now, and people have been pretty happy. And so hopefully we'll expand that out in the next week to more people. The way we start off with a 10,000 club, which is people who made 10,000 images, and then we keep bumping it down until eventually it's everybody. That's kind of how we're currently thinking of doing it, and it's been going well. Let's see, anything else? To be honest, I've been spending a lot of time just trying to hire more people onto the team. We kind of are trying to get ahead of the game. Like we've been kind of a little bit overwhelmed sometimes just keeping up with the number of people who want to use this, but we really want to try to get ahead this time and actually like have more capacity to scale than we are getting every single day. Like instead of just and also trying to get it so we can basically build out a lot more cool features simultaneously, do a lot more of the like polish and edge cases. Like on the website, there's a million things that people want. Like I want Google Drive sync. I want to have like collections. You know, we're working on a lot of things like that. But also we just like literally don't have that many people to do each thing right now. So I've been trying really hard to find some really senior people that we can bring in that can be self-directed, so we can kind of remain small and nimble, but like still build out all the stuff that everyone deserves. So anybody out there, feel free to like send us your resumes at careers@midjourney.com. Not to pump it too much, but just to say that's been one of like my personal main focuses. And we've had some really wonderful people in the community already that have reached out that are like so experienced and so smart and so great. I'm like really excited to have some of them start to come on board in the next month. And that'll make a huge difference. Let's see. Anything else? Surprise features. Going from images to text. Creating on the web. There'll be also a lot of other web features that are coming, which I also kind of want to keep on the down low, but will be like really exciting. Like I think as we try to build out a community, it's really interesting to ask like what kind of new things can we do, and I think there are a lot of unique. There's a lot of unique stuff here, and I think that like, yeah, there's going to be. I feel really. I feel very like people started to talk like the little map stuff. We had like a little user map and some of the user statistics. I don't know if we took the statistics down. At one point we tell you like all the tags you're using most and what this like. It's gonna be like 10x. It's gonna be really really cool. So I don't want to hype it up. Who knows when it'll all be ready? But I'm basically very excited that the investment on that side will come to fruition in the next month or two, and it will feel really really good. Yeah, basically like new things that we basically couldn't do anywhere else. So like kind of like what's sort of the native and honest, what's sort of the native version of MidJourney, what's the sort of honest vision of the future. To me, like one of my favorite designers says that the visions of the future exist on a spectrum that goes from honest to familiar. And if something seems too familiar and it's like a vision of the future, it's probably not honest. And if something is really honest about the future, like it's not going to be familiar. It's going to be weird. And so I'm always trying to figure out like what's the sort of honest future and vision of MidJourney. And so I'm excited that like we're going to get to explore some of that soon. And yeah, let's see. I think that's mostly it. Yeah, so sorry that we kind of wanted to do a lot of incremental updates over the last 2 weeks, but instead we kind of got overwhelmed with like bigger shifts, and hopefully we'll start to ship some of those soon. There's a very high likelihood that we'll ship some new features in the next week, like 90% chance. Maybe even two cool new things. Yeah, probably we're trying to do two. We're trying to do at least two really cool things next week. Yeah, we're trying as hard as we can. Thanks for bearing with us always and being supportive. I hope everyone's having fun. Yeah, let's see. With that, I think we'll just do questions. Ancient, are you there? I'm always scared that like no one can hear me, and I was.
Oh, yeah, I'm here, and people can definitely hear you when they're responding to you in the chat. So.
Yeah, I wasn't looking. I was kind of just like staring into space. And sometimes it helps me like, I'll start looking at the chat. But yeah.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi. I had a question about ratings. When do image ratings get integrated into the model, and what does that process look like? I know there's been a lot of discussion and questioning amongst people in the community, like, did something change in the model? And so I just really would love to know more details about that, and I'm sure other people would too.
Sure. So we're using the ratings for two things right now. One, when we release a new algorithm, we ask everyone to rate it, and we can use those ratings to try to figure out like, did we do a good job or not, basically. Like you can kind of see like how the ratings change between the previous and the current version, and that's kind of like one of the biggest like sort of holders of truth, effectively. So like for example, when we went from like V3 to dash to like beta, like the number of puke emojis went up by 2x, and all the moderators became overwhelmed, like trying to moderate things. And then when we released the test and test P, the number of puke emojis went down by a factor of 2, even below the V3 algorithm, which was really good. It made the moderators like actually be able to spend more time like doing stuff besides trying to find like see the most horrible images ever imagined. But like little things or we could see like sort of the ratio of like heart eyes to like happy faces to friends. Because seeing how the way the ratings move around actually says a lot of really interesting stuff about like did we do a good job. And the second thing we do is that we use the ratings to actually feed back into the algorithm and teach it to be better. So like for example, there were a lot of distorted faces in the V2 day, and people usually didn't like the distorted faces. And so by rating the distorted faces down and the nice faces up, like faces got better in V3. And so right now, changing that part is usually there's usually like a pretty big change. And so we haven't been, whenever we do that, we like announce it like, hey, there's a new version. So we're going to update the ratings thing probably in the next week. Like I have a candidate right now that looks pretty good. And then we'll say, hey, there's a new version. This is how it will be different. And that meant that it probably got changed. But right now we never change anything without telling anyone. So like, this is an important, we never change the algorithms without making an announcement. And I think that's really important because otherwise people like literally are scared that like something is wrong today or tomorrow. But, like we're literally not, yeah. And at some point, we will like let the algorithm potentially just like learn and change every single day on its own. We actually were gonna do that last week, and then we tested it and it all went terribly wrong, and so we decided not to do it. And so I think it's a cool idea one day we'd like to do, but for the moment, every time we update the algorithm, it's a big change and we announce it.
Okay, great, thank you. So you mentioned that ratings will be integrated into a newer model soon. So is that is that change like how long ago did that snapshot took place? Because I've been working on a project pretty much since I started MidJourney a few months ago, and I have like almost 15,000 images generated for the project. And so I'm hoping that I can like be rating my images and have it tuned to my own work, even amidst the huge sea of other people.
Theoretically, it should. We don't really know. It's hard but one thing that we will do in the future is we will like let the model personalize based off of your ratings alone. So if you're rating a lot of stuff right now, at some point we're gonna add a switch where you can flip it, and it will like personalize just to your ratings. So we were actually gonna do that like a month ago, but then when the new model started dropping, we were like, you know what, we should like focus on trying to get the new models over the line. But like our long-term intention is to let everybody sort of personalize the system to their own style, and yeah, that'll just be free. Is our current plan. It's just going to be based off of your ratings, basically. And some people are worried that like, oh, what if I like, want to have a new set of ratings? What we'll do is we'll add that as like a separate thing where you can be like, hey, I want to make a set of ratings specifically to create a style. I'm going to call, blue blue twilight or something. Or you can be like, and then everything that you're rating is specifically for this name style. So we'll like let you do that too. But we're still it's going to take it's probably going to come after the next models.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's really exciting because I found this style with version 3, and I suspect that it's some kind of accident with how like I'm working on architecture, and I think what happens is like the image blows out to white, but then when it gets reinterpreted, it becomes a different architectural material. And then when it combines with the other prompting that I have going on, it creates this like new architectural style that I've never seen before. And so, yeah, being able to train that as a specific style would be really exciting because I can't figure out a way to reproduce it in anywhere other than V3 with like a really specific phrase. And so that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, does it work when you do image prompts too? Like if you put it back in as an image prompt?
Yeah,
You know
it
that?
does. It helps in V3 especially, but not in test. It doesn't.
Oh yeah, so
like
in
I
test
try and do the
test,
hack. Yeah, I try
in
and do the
test
hack where I like image prompt from V3 and then remaster, and I can get like a lot of the style, but not the full like innovative part of the style. So
yeah, so the test and test P, they really don't work with image prompts, but the next versions, all the new stuff that we're working on, like the new models, are like the image prompts are very important to us, so we're trying really hard to make it work well. Yeah, we even have ones that like maybe are too good at image prompting, like you can use it to copy styles maybe too exactly, and people do want that, but it's something that I get nervous about sometimes, like because you could use that for good or evil.
Yeah, I've started using like clip interrogator and kind of image to text Jupyter notebooks and whatnot. And that does actually help. Like I stumbled upon this really cool low poly character style, and I was able to use clip interrogator, and it gave me like an artist, and I was able to swap out that artist in my prompt, and the result was that it was the same style. So I think that's going to be really cool, and that gets into MJ.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do something like our own clip interrogator. I hope people like it more than clip interrogator is this cool thing. Anybody, you can use it on the web. It will try to like give you a prompt that for an image. It's kind of like what we're gonna do soon too. We're gonna try to hopefully our version people like better. Like our goal is to beat that, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So like I'm not criticizing. It's pretty good, and you can use it. But we want to build a version that's like with like a much bigger vocabulary and a bigger compute budget, and basically just make it part of the service so you could just do it really easily, and so hopefully the first party version will be even better. But that was a great open source thing where it was like definitely inspiring to us about like, oh yeah, this is pretty good, like we should probably do something like this, like so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I guess that's all I had. I just wanted to say a huge thank you for Remaster. That has been magic for me. And shout out to Shambibble for advocating for it.
Yeah, one thing I would actually encourage about the remaster is that like a lot of people here have never used anything but V3, but V1 and V2 had really unique things too. So like V1 actually is better at color and is probably better at color and maybe even texture than even test or test P or V3. And then V2 has a lot of like really sort of interesting surrealism to it. And so like I was playing with this last night and like I was able to get some like beautifully colored stuff out of remastering V1 and some like beautifully surreal stuff out of remastering V2. So like I would encourage people to like if you've never tried V1 and V2, do like dash dash version 1 dash dash version 2 and give it a shot actually. Like you might be like the old versions were really like this is one like most people don't remember but like it's sad like the vibiness has actually decreased over time like and this has been a struggle for us because even the like V1 is actually the vibiest of all and it's been a real struggle for us because like V1 couldn't draw like portraits it couldn't do cats it like couldn't do a lot of things but it was so vibey and so like when you use a V1 or V2 as a base you can get some really beautiful stuff so yeah community challenge do some V1 and V2 remasters and see what you think. Okay, are we getting another person or did I just disconnect? Hello.
Hello. Hi. First of all, thanks. And I just started teaching MidJourney in my class last week, and it's going really well, and it's extremely fun and kind of taking over. And I want to thank you for the office hours 2 weeks ago with the panel of women users, and it really addressed an issue I was afraid of teaching the class, which was bringing a bunch of students in when we were at the peak of the bikini porn explosion, and like how comfortable they'd feel. And I think I haven't. We discussed it. I think it seems to be much less of an issue now.
Yeah. So what we did was I don't know if I updated everyone on this, but I'll say it again. Is we did like a kind of like a stealth ban of all the bikini related vocabulary, so you could still make one, but it's never going to show up anywhere.
Oh, awesome.
And so, to be honest, I might still ban bikinis at some I'm not sure if actually it's the right thing to do to leave it up there at some point. Like maybe all the all the bikinis will become one piece bikinis one day, But like, but it has certainly resolved the immediate crisis. And so
yeah, I mean,
I'm very happy about that.
It's a never-ending battle. I mean, I saw some like the worst porn I've seen, and the only prompts were like women on a bed with fruit. So like, I don't know how you can take care of all of it.
Yeah, it's well so what we're doing right now is we have like a big list of like stealth banned terms that like make it not show up. And then we have some people who just like literally some of the moderators will literally moderate the feed and just like hide things. So we're trying now, and the front like I actually haven't looked at it right now, but like yesterday, like it's gotten a lot more artistic. It's really nice. Like the front page it's been evolving in this really interesting way, and it's much better. Like a lot less celebrity portraits, a lot more artful stuff. I mean, I like furries as much as the next one, but it's not all furries either, which is cool. So like trying to get something like that's like diverse is great.
Yeah, I've noticed a difference. I mean, I really think it is an improvement.
And one of the things that we're going to try to do at some point is we're going to try to like make it kind of personalize a bit, so you can kind of like dive into, like if you really don't like photographic pictures of women, you can kind of like by saying that you don't like it a few times, it'll like stop showing them,
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to take us a little bit.
Well, my question was about like from an artist standpoint in using MidJourney and some of the concerns I have, which I trust you guys like so much about your direction of this, especially 2 weeks ago when you said, you acknowledged the vibe direction, you're going to push it more in that direction, which is like exactly what I love about MidJourney. But I'm concerned, when you talk about the rating, and then last week, I know somebody I don't know if it was on air or in the chat, but somebody brought up the golden ratio and Fibonacci, and a lot of the artists were like, no, we don't use those things. Like it's like they're kind of, I come from an approach of bad art, and punk art, which a lot, the majority of people using MidJourney would dislike it and rank it low, and that I don't care, right? And like that's kind of the intention of like artists like Gary Panter or Big Daddy Roth and Fort Thunder, things like that. So I'm concerned about, I know you have said that one of your priorities is to make it so that the average person can come on and they can make things that look good. And I think you do such an amazing job of that compared to the other services. And I know that's a priority, but artists want to make bad things, and we want some of the controls taken off for advanced users, and I'm worried about the ranking skewing it more towards things that are good. Like I saw a note from somebody who complained that they were trying to get an unattractive woman, like an ugly woman, and it was so hard to fight the system because it just wanted to make the person prettier. And I'm like often trying to make bad colors and bad things. So if
so
we could
our,
get,
yeah.
Sorry.
So our main intention of this was to like put that sort of behind like a single slider, which is like the stylization slider. And V3 does this really well. Like you can set the stylization really low, and it's pretty raw. And if you set it really high, it like completely ignores whatever it's going to do its own thing. So the goal is to make the ratings the way the ratings affect the thing like a slider basically, and you can turn it up and down. And if you turn it all the way down, it should have like almost no effect. The reason why we don't let test and test P go all the way down is because if you drop it all the way down, it just starts putting like but the next versions, like future versions at some point, will not have that problem because we will remove every piece of code that was trained on porn. Yeah. And so it kind of infected that system, and it's really hard to get out, but the new systems do not have it. So yeah.
That sounds great.
It turns out like there was this really interesting question that no one ever knew because no one had ever trained one of these on porn before, and the person who actually did it was like, I didn't think that putting a little porn in it would actually make a big difference. And it turns out that having like 5% of your data being like super sort of stereotypical objectifications of like women and whatever, like it does actually affect how it portrays women. Like it's enough. It's like 10% is enough, it turns out, to bias the system significantly. And it turns out it's really hard to get that. And so basically right now the rating system like de-biases it away from like porn stereotypes effectively. And so we can't let it go too low or else that comes back. Yeah, and so I don't know if it was exactly 10%. It was like they thought it was low, and it turned out that it was pretty bad. And so yeah, so I mean the new versions are being trained without that, so it's great. Like, but like basically, if we keep the test and test P model around, it's always going to be infected, and so we'll never be able to let the stylization go all the way down in that model. But the new models that don't have that in there, then basically you can let the stylization go all the way down to 0, and there's no risk effectively. So at some point we might be able to decouple the stylization, because right now stylization involves a lot of things. It involves things like, is it porn? Is it beautiful? Is it ugly? It's all kind of in a single thing. At some point we could like maybe give it a sense of like what is naughty and what is nice, and like have that separate from what is beautiful and what is ugly. And then at that point, maybe we can kind of do something more nuanced. But we don't have the ability yet to like collect that level of data, so we're still kind of, we're early in the game.
Along those same lines, I was just wondering whether there would be a way to give artists like a little bit more access to the controls that, like, especially with the web interface where you have the advanced and the basic interface. Like, if I understand like your philosophy that you want, like, often you talk about a feature and you say, well, we don't want people to get bad images, and some of us don't care about that, and we want to get that. So like things like letting us break things, letting us, like, a feature that I would love to have is like an up stop, that right now with the stop only stops on the quads, and if we could get a stop on the upscale, at 95%, in a lot of cases, it would make a huge difference. So like things like that would, I know that the artist user is a small group, but some of these things seem like they would be fairly easy to give us.
Yeah, we definitely want to do more of that. I think the challenge is right now we literally don't have enough people to implement the major features, and let alone the sort of power features. And so I'm hoping that as we have more people, we'll definitely get to all that. But like right now, I would say we're a little underwater at this exact moment in time. Like, we talked about doing like a Google Drive sync for your images like 2 months ago, and we literally haven't had the time. And we have this collections feature. Like, you're gonna be able to do collections on the website soon. It's almost done, but it's been almost done for like a month. We just haven't gotten to push over the line. There's like a bunch of things like that are kind of pretty important that are still like, we'll get to it. Like, I would say it's important to me that we have weird features and advanced features. I think the challenge is like, I think the challenge is actually getting to them. And then I think maybe one other thing that I'm a little scared of is like, sometimes people like hallucinate functionality just because it's like they hallucinate utility just because there's functionality. Like, there's a huge number of people who use multi-prompts, and I'm convinced that it's only making their images worse, and they just use the multi-prompts because like, some of them don't even know what the double colons mean. They just put it in there because they saw somebody else do it. And like, that's a little scary to me,
Yeah. But I
like,
think in that case, you've brought that up before, and the issue is, like, there's not a great source for people to understand exactly why that is. I mean, I think I do get it now, and I miss it when using test P, because there are some things that you need it for. So I think, I know like your problems with documentation, that it's like painting a moving truck or something. But I think that's part of the issue, is that people just don't understand how it works.
Yeah, so I mean, there's like, as the field matures, I have no doubt that we're gonna have all the features and all the documentation. Like, I've done really good documentation before. I know we're in a bad place. I'm sorry. Right now, actually, yeah. I think the way I think of the documentation is start from like the stuff that people need to know their first week, almost, because that's probably where it's still pretty weak, right? Yeah. There's like we had the truck driver on last time who was using MidJourney for a pit stop.
Yeah.
And like, he just wanted better educational material, and I don't think he, like, trying to write up stuff for multi-prompts for him probably wouldn't have actually been helpful, but there's a lot of other stuff we could have done, and so I don't really know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Job. You're doing a great job. Like, we really appreciate it. It's fantastic. The news about the new Vibe models is like so exciting, and I can't wait. And like, it's crazy. I just noticed that the test and test P like only came out like 2 weeks ago, and it seems like it was 2 months ago.
I know, right? And it's like, we're moving in accelerated, like where this is like a aesthetic accelerationism, you know, like it's like we just had like 4 art movements go by. I mean so I think the way that we generally approach this is, instead of saying like find a bug, fix a bug, or like identify a feature, implement a feature, we really try to like step back and say, okay, what are the fewest things that we can do that will be like transformative to the experience to as many people as possible, and then try to go for that, and kind of work out from there. So like my biggest thing right now is like test and test P. They don't work with image prompts and they don't work with multi prompts, and that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's the biggest, like talking about advanced features, right? Like the 2 main advanced features of our stuff don't work on the new models, you know, and aspect ratios. And also like batch 2 sucks. Yeah. I hate batch 2. I thank you so much everyone for not revolting at batch 2. It was like the only way we could ship the feature. But like let alone like so yeah, my hope actually is like the next version, like I'm hoping that we'll get like to not just have like batch 4 again, but then actually push the like big batch feature, so you can get like test and test P with like 64 images at the same time, and it's so much better. So I mean, there are some profound features coming, I would emphasize, and I think we will get to the other advanced features eventually. Hopefully, as we hire more people, we'll be able to catch up. Fingers crossed. Thank you so much.
You spoil us. Thank you.
So actually, maybe update on the grids. We actually like paused the grids with V3 because V3 doesn't have like enough. Is not actually. It's like we need a little bit more variety to be satisfying in the grids, and so we either have to like add our new chaos feature and make it official for V3, or we just wait for the next sort of model that like has a better way to parameterize the like creativity versus consistency trade-off. Basically, so our new models were like we're gonna have like a good way of doing that, and then that can kind of scale really nicely as the grids get bigger. It'll become like more creative and less consistent, and then as you have fewer images, it'll become like more consistent, less creative. Because if you only get like 1 image, you kind of want it to be, you don't want it to just be like a complete dud. But then if you get 64 images, it's okay if half of them are bad. And so there's like a natural scaling there that we're trying to figure out how to build into the system.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
So first of all, thank you for letting me speak. It's an honor for me to be able to speak to you. It's been a mid-journey for me since the beginning of me using this service, and I'm quite amazed by the things I've been able to create so far. And one of the things I really like is the remaster feature. So it's kind of been like my flow of creating things with V3 and then remastering, and I also really like the test piece. So my first question is about that. When will we be able anytime soon to be able to remaster to, like, say, test P instead of the test creative as it is now? Is it something that you're working on?
I think we want to make it so you can choose what version of the system you're remastering with. Mm-hmm. I think it's worth saying that like if you want to do a remaster that's more photographic, you should be able to do it right now if you just use the word like photo in the prompt and you put it towards the front of the prompt. That would be the trick. This is not obvious, it's not documented, but just to help you out, right? Like literally right like today, if you basically you put like a photo of a dog and then you make that in V3 and then you remaster it, and that will actually give it a lot of the test P properties as is.
Yeah,
so
that's cool. Mm-hmm.
It's sort of a undocumented trick, but that will get you 90% of what you want today. But at some point we do want to make so people can kind of mix and match. Like I want to remaster with V1 or something like that, or I want to remaster with V3. Like I want to remaster the test with V3, and so we want to be able to do like any combination. Kind of like how you can pick your upscale algorithm. There's more than one upscaler. We want to be able to pick your kind of variation effectively. So the remaster is basically like a variation with the test creative.
Yeah, that's a good tip, and actually, yeah, it could be a good, nice way to do things if you could like choose like from which algorithm to which algorithm to do it. And you just mentioned the upscaling, so that kind of brings me to the next question, which is like, how much of the focus you're putting into upscaling algorithms? Like from my experience, the test and test P goes really well with the. I guess it uses the beta algorithm, which is most of the time it's pretty nice, but sometimes I get like this weird artifacts of like strange kind of lines or like textures and stuff, which is not exactly what I got in my source image. So I'm just wondering if you plan to just improve the quality of upscaling, or you plan to have completely new models of upscaling in the future and so on.
Yeah, we were trying to build a next generation upscalers, but what happened unfortunately is that like they didn't work. So we were kind of like, oh shit, like okay, and we didn't really know how to fix it, and so it's not that we can't fix it, like I'm sure there's a solution, but we decided just to like put it aside for a few weeks and come back to it. Sometimes when like you can't, sometimes when like you hit a wall, it's something, it's just you put it to the side and then you come back to it in a week or two and like with a fresh look. And so that's what we're doing right now on the upscalers. The upscaler will the current upscaler can do higher resolution just with a bigger like server, and so that will happen at some point. But like higher quality upscales is something that we need like some more research on. It's definitely possible. It will definitely get better, but it's something that like we had a good idea on how to do it, and our main idea how to do it didn't work. So we have like 2 more ideas, but the 2 more ideas would make it like 4 times more expensive. So we don't want to do that by default. So we're trying to figure out like, okay, what's a way to make it better without like, just like no trade-offs, basically. What's the no trade-off better? There's definitely a no trade-off better. It just requires like, it's probably going to require a few weeks of more research. And so probably in like 2 weeks, we'll come back to it and we'll try some more stuff, and maybe that'll work. That's the problem with research. Is like you have an idea, it works, it doesn't work, you try another one, and so you never really know how many you have to try to get it to work. But I am convinced that the upscalers can be way better, and that the goal eventually is to give you an extra slider where you can choose how much detail you want in the upscaler. You could like say, I want it to be like very minimal, or I want it to be really detailed. Like there should be like a detail parameterization effectively. Like, I want to, yeah. And so we're trying to figure that out. That's all I got for now.
Cool. That sounds like it's a kind of trial and error, and you just kind of have to find a good balance, I guess, and it's really interesting. So another question is completely unrelated, but something I've been kind of wondering, and I haven't seen it like anyone who did it. Maybe it exists out there, I'm not sure. But yeah, so we've been able to have like AI basically create art, which is really nice. I was thinking, would it be possible one day maybe to have kind of the same idea, but like create a complete animation? Like I don't know, like a little short video of some creations, or just like basically AI created videos or animation or stuff like that. Is it something you've been researching?
It is definitely possible to do something with movement. I don't think we know what it's going to look like yet, because like we could definitely do the sort of psychedelic movement thing, but I'm a little scared that if we do that, that's going to be like a fad that then disappears in 3 months, and then everybody wishes that we did a long-term feature instead. And so we're kind of trying to focus on the long-term features, and then there's definitely like a long-term animation thing, and then I think the question is like, what does that look like and when does it come? I think like short animations that are low frame rate are much more safe than long animations that are high frame rate. If you want to be able to do like a long animation that's high frame rate, that might actually take 2 years. It might be a while from now, but like short animations that are kind of like almost like a GIF, like a looping GIF, that could come sooner, but we're not working on it right now. We're working on like 3D more than we're working on animations. The cool thing with 3D is that when you have 3D, you'll be able to like change the focal depth, you'll be able to move the camera around, you'll be able to like you can do like kind of motions of a kind, and I'm hoping that looks really nice. But it won't necessarily have people like walking animations or anything,
Yeah, so basically like a static 3D model, but you can use it as an asset and just move it around and play with it, I guess. Play with
Yeah,
the
but you can
lighting
do
and stuff.
you can do a lot with like a light zoom and then like a pan with parallax,
Mhm.
Like I think that can look really beautiful, and that is doable in the relatively near term, and it won't be way more expensive. Whereas if we try to make a rush towards like full animations, it might increase the cost by 10x or 100x. And if we increase it by 10x, it's like no longer a consumer accessible product,
Yeah,
And like,
yeah, totally understand. Mhm.
I know there's a lot of people out here paying $30 a month, and that's amazing. But there are a lot of people who literally can't afford that right now, and so I think more often about how do I eventually have like a $20 tier or $10 tier that's good for people who can't afford the 30, more than I think about how to make a $300 a month tier, which
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
fun. Like it'd be kind of fun to do. I think you're more likely to see $100 an hour tier than a $300 a month tier. Because like if you're gonna go up by like a factor of 1,000. Don't go up by a factor of 10. And $100 an hour would be interesting because like maybe you have a meeting or an event or something like that, and it's like this incredible thing that's like the coolest thing ever. And I think that would be worth it. But yeah, I'm not talking about that experience yet. Too much detail. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So there's like a great things coming ahead of it. Yeah, I think that's it for me. You've been answering my questions nicely, and good luck for all of your futures projects. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see what you got for us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello,
Hello.
can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
So last time I came here, I talked a bit with you about a bunch of stuff. I just had a quick question because last time I came here and I asked about the future plans for making the model adapt to the style of the user, etc., etc. I bet you're probably tired of hearing about this, but it was more in the sense that I thought the trajectory of going that way, would it be like if two users had the same prompt with the same seed, would, because of that, the model being that way, would it make completely different results? Is that the plan? Is that
Sorry,
like
you're
the
saying if people had personalized models, or is that the question?
Yeah. So if the model adapted to the style of the users, let's say, and you had two
Yeah.
users that had the model adapted to them, right, to their style,
Yeah.
and those two
Then
users, not only they generated the same prompt, but they generated the same prompt with the same seed, let's say,
yeah.
would the results be different?
Yes. Very well. I mean, very, very different, but you might see like some slight similarities if you flipped between them. Like some of the edges might be in like if you change the words but keep the seeds the same, you get this weird phenomena where like it has some similar edges, and it has some like there's some weird similarities. Like if you say like dog and like building, and it's the same seed, and you flip back and forth really fast, you'll actually see similarities. It's really kind of cool. But like they're very different pictures. So you'd see it'd be like that. Like the difference between a dog and a building. Like it'd be completely different. But if you flip back and forth, you might see like they both share the same edge or something on part of the image.
Yeah, I see. That'll be really cool, and I'm really excited for the 3D part that you just talked about. That I'm looking forward to it. That was just all that I wanted to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you.
For anyone interested, I just posted a 64 by 64 same seed grid in the chat, so you can take a look at how mostly
I mean,
similar they are.
Even with the same seed, it is fairly similar. But if you did different styles, like if each one was differently adapted, it would be totally different. But yeah, it's cool that even with the same seed, there's a little bit of variation sometimes. There's actually like some seeds are chaotic. Like certain seeds sometimes will just like always will be very, very different all the time, and then sometimes it'll make it very similar. Sometimes the seeds will like affect the color. There's a lot of like really interesting sort of subtle seed science almost that we haven't really gotten to fully study.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so I've submitted a whole bunch of questions. I don't know where to start or if you guys can see them.
I can't. Go ahead. Just say them.
Okay, so first question is I've been trying for a while to generate an image of like the point of view perspective behind a skydiver diving towards like a city because I run a tabletop role playing game and I wanted to use that as a reference. Now the thing is, it only gave me things that you can find online of like people taking pictures from the side of a skydiver. So it's not like creating a new image out of its own, like quote unquote imagination based on prompts. It's more like giving me like almost based on references. And I've been trying for like a whole week and I've been failing. Is that because it is limited to its references, or is it because I'm using like incorrect prompts? Maybe.
I don't know. So this is where like the prompt craft, the prompt craft or prompt talk channel is really good because you can talk to people about it. There's a lot of things I haven't tried.
Okay, so I'm just
I know that
wondering, like,
people
do
in
you
general
think-
have a hard time getting it to do like top-down views on things because top-down
Okay.
views are rare
Mhm.
in general. So, like for example, if all images of cats show only the cat from the front, it would have no
Mhm.
way to know there was ever a side to a cat or like a back
That's
to the
true.
cat. And so if we got unlucky and it only has images skydivers on the side of the data set, it literally doesn't know that it's possible in the universe to look from above. Like it's pretty smart. It's pretty smart with styles, but I think it's not always smart with space. Where it's like, oh, this person is in the sky and the ground is below them and there's a human body, so I can change the perspective. Like it's not that smart.
Awesome. Understandable. Another question was I noticed that whenever it creates multiple items or objects in an image, a lot of the little details fall apart completely. But whereas if it does like a zoomed in, let's say, face image, it's so perfectly like photorealistic. Is that because of a limitation of, let's say, renditions or how many times it goes over something? Or is that like just how the AI works?
Probably because it has a lot of faces in the data set, and there's also a lot of ratings that people have done of faces. So like basically there's a lot of images, there's a lot of faces in the data set, and then people make a lot of faces with the model, and then they rate faces that they don't like low. And so it's had a lot of signal, both in terms of what faces look like and what faces people like. So it's gonna get good at faces. If there was somebody who just made teacups all day and they rated all the good teacups good and all the bad ones bad, it would probably make teacups better.
Awesome.
It's kind of fun. No one fuck with
So-
teacups. Okay?
So that brings me
No,
to the
but for
next
real,
question.
yeah.
Actually, was
Mhm.
would it be actually more convenient for you guys to create a like thumbs up, thumbs down for the initially generated like two side by side images or four side by side images, as opposed to needing to upscale and then rate? Would that be a better way to rate and train the AI?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
We are going to add more rating systems, but the problem is that like we don't know what is actually best. So we don't. What we were going to do was we were going to like instead of asking the users to deal with like 10 types of ratings, we were going to like basically do like a thing on the internet where we get like 1,000 people to rate the same thing in like 6 different ways, and then start doing like actual science on like which actually lets us learn and make things better in which ways. And that like baseline study of like rating, 10,000 things in 6 different ways has never been done before. So honestly, we picked one thing and we kind of went with it, and we now need to go back and actually try the different things and see. You might be right. It might be that like saying which of 4 is best might be like 10x better, but we basically have no way of knowing until we build up a data set for each.
Right. Awesome. And I don't want to take up too much time. I'll just ask one last question: is the AI art generator open source, or is that something closed for you guys only?
There's lots of different open source things on the internet, and we use open source stuff in our stuff too sometimes. But like the exact implementation of our system is not open source.
I understand. All right, that's it for me. You guys have been awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying the experience, and I wish you guys all the best.
Thank you.
Hello.
Whatever it's worth. Oh, hello. How are you?
I'm good. So I joined the server yesterday, and I just wanted to ask, how are you meant to use the prompts? Like, is it better to give more description in what you're trying to ask them to make for you, or is it less the better? What keywords make what
Um,
certain, like, if that makes
it de-
sense?
it definitely depends on the person. So like I like using small numbers of words, like cyberpunk cat and cosmic celestial space cat with angel wings. Like I kind of like to just focus on this what's going on. But some people they like saying things like cinematic, like by Stanley Kubrick. Like they like to sort of say other things. So
Yeah.
um, it definitely depends on you. I think sometimes it's best to learn using small numbers of words, and it's
Okay.
fastest to explore with small numbers of words. Because when you start using like too many words, you might not know what actually did something, you know.
Yeah.
But you can you can make really beautiful pictures with just 2 words. A lot of my favorite images have been like 2 words.
Okay. And how many times do you have to upscale the image until you get something that is like really good quality and stuff? Because when I look at the test showcase channel, um, I see like a lot of really, really high quality images, and I'm wondering how do you get it to that level?
Well, for the test showcase, they're using this thing where they type dash dash test after the prompt, so it's a different algorithm. I don't know if you're already doing that.
I think I
Um,
am.
and then from there, I mean, you just kind of ask them, like, how'd you do that? What kind of thing did you type? And sometimes they do it. The test algorithm is a little less consistent, so sometimes you have to do it a few. You don't usually upscale it several times. Usually, what you do is you make a few images and then you say I like this one, and then you either immediately upscale that or you make variations of it. And then what they do is they do the variations. They'll be like, okay, this is close, give me some variations. Okay, this one's closer, give me some variations of that. Okay, this one's closer, give me some variations of that. And then they do that 3 times, and then they kind of hone in on the exact variation of what they want, and that can work really well too.
Okay, so what did you say about the testing? How do you use that? Like after you write slash imagine, like when do you use it?
You would say like dog / imagine dog dash dash test. That's it.
Okay, yeah, I think I just have to still get used to it because I've only used it yesterday. I've just been
Yeah.
observing how people use their prompts, just trying to learn.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's about. I mean, one of the biggest reasons why I did a social thing with this was that like, it's so new that like the only way to sort of understand it is through play, and so
Yeah,
it's like it's got to be fun, and then everyone sort of likes to learn from each other, and definitely like, yeah, talk to people and check it out. Oh, somebody said try slash settings too. You can type slash settings, and then you see all the settings, so you can just click the test mode and stuff like that.
okay, yeah, I think I will go and ask people like when I see them make something that I like and be like, oh yeah, how did you make this? Because I guess
Yeah, I
that's the
mean,
quickest way to learn.
I think everyone's pretty friendly. There's also some voice channels that are kind of nice. Sometimes people hang out late at night and they just like talk about like made this dog, man. Oh, I made this angel. Yeah, cat with
Yeah,
angel wings.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just ask. Everyone should be friendly. If they're not friendly, let me know, and I'm gonna teach them a lesson.
Okay, yeah, because I was kind of shy of like how they will react to my questions and if they will be helpful or not.
No, yeah, we have like a don't be a jerk rule. So if anybody's a jerk, it's bad. We get rid. Yeah, no jerks allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Before I ask my questions, David, is it okay if I speak to Hafsa, the previous speaker, the new
Sure.
person?
Yeah.
Hafsa, I started on MidJourney just a couple of weeks ago, the day before the test was released, and do not feel that you have to be shy to ask people in the test showcase room. They are the friendliest bunch ever, as well as the prompt chat. They're super friendly. They're happy that you're actually interacting with them and enjoying their images. And if you feel shy, you can even go on the MidJourney website and like look at people's pictures and read their prompts there. So there's lots of ways you can learn and stuff. You don't this community is awesome. I've only been here 2 weeks, and I spent all my day in a thread with a bunch of friends I made in the test showcase. That's what I wanted to say to you before I move on to David.
Right. Thank you for that.
Oh, so David, I noticed something last night, and it's been bugging me a lot. I don't even know how to approach this, but um, on the MidJourney website, on the hot page and on the top page, have you noticed that there's a very skewed ratio when it comes to the aspect ratios?
Yeah,
Have you-
unfortunately, like the tall pictures are bigger than wide pictures, and so it biases everything to tall pictures right now.
Yeah, and like I have this
We
Excel.
would love to fix that. We would love to fix that, but we need somebody on the website to like implement a more complicated tiling algorithm. They call it like a masonry algorithm, and so we are using like a sort of advanced one already because it does have different sized images. But when you want the masonry to handle both long images and tall images, that's like the maximum complexity masonry algorithm. And if anybody here wants to help us with it, drop me a line at careers@midjourney.com. But it's a thing that we haven't anyone get around to fixing. But we absolutely want to fix it.
Yeah, okay, so that's a shout out to web devs because I just wanted to share this screenshot. I'll share it now in VC text, where you can see two fantastic images next to each other, one by Umut and one by Alex Photo 3. One is super tall and one is super wide, but the wide one gets 1/7 the screen space, which on mobile you won't even notice it when you're scrolling.
Exactly. I'm not happy with that. I want to fix
When I
it.
no- Yeah, I'm happy you do because when I noticed that, I went to the top monthly page and you have to scroll quite a bit. I think it's like the 50th or 60th picture before you find a horizontal picture on the top monthly, which is super skewed. And I was wondering like how does that affect the kind of art we start to generate because like we get a dopamine feedback when we put in a tall picture and it like it gets votes and we see ourselves on the hot page and we're like oh shit, so we keep pumping that and that kind of leads to portrait images, because portraits and vertical images, they work together.
I
And
agree.
maybe it's
I'm
not
100. I'm
affecting
100%. I'm 100% behind you. I'm 100% behind you. I don't know of any solution except for to have the website, tile better.
Yeah.
I don't, but it's real. But then it is like it's high end masonry work. So
Right.
because what you
Well,
have to do is like you imagine there's like some images that are tall and there's some images that are long, and the long images have to go across the multiple columns,
mhm.
right? And then the wide images go across multiple columns. The tall images have to go across multiple rows, and so it becomes like this jigsaw puzzle. And
Absolutely.
there are things that do it, but I think like 2 libraries that do it, and they're not quite easy. Or we write our own, but yeah, it's really important, and I feel really bad that we don't do it. In fact, to tell you like something that we've done that I'd never said before is if you make the image too tall, we're just like we never show it. We just like we're like screw that guy. You can't take up the whole page. So there's like a maximum size actually that we don't say, and yeah.
Okay, I think Umut found just the limit there to the maximum size. But
Yeah.
okay, it's cool that you guys know about it. It's just I noticed it and it bugged the hell out of me, and I was like, wow, this seems like it's affecting everything we're making because we're going after the dopamine here on the hot page, right?
Yeah, it affects me too. It bothers me a lot too. Anybody who wants to solve the masonry thing or help us with that, let us know. But it's like literally, we have like most of our web stuff is done by like one person right now. Like we're pretty underwater on the website, honestly.
Damn.
And so,
Well,
definitely need help
help
there.
me. Okay, cool. We're all on the same page. That leads to my second question. The other week there was a speaker. I think most people here will remember him, the trucker guy from I think it was in California. Everyone loved
Mm.
that guy. He was talking about the user experience as a new person. Afterburner, thanks, chat. Um, and it got me thinking because I've spent so many hours and speaking to the friends I've made on this fantastic community, they also spend a lot of hours trying to figure out what does MidJourney know does MidJourney know this model I want to make a picture of? Does MidJourney know this rendering reference? And we end up spending a lot of GPU hours on that. And I recall you mentioning, I think it was 2 office hours ago, that relaxed GPU hours is something you lose money on, and it's something us as a user would lose time on if we keep just testing and testing to find out. Is there no way there could be like an instant feedback in the system where I could like write a name or a reference and MidJourney would say, nope, I don't know that. But of course it will try to guess something, but it will say, no, I don't know that person, or I don't know that model. I don't know that reference.
Maybe. Right now, it's a cool question. I'm not sure. It's hard to actually measure how much it knows something because, like, maybe it's only seen the word a few times, but it's in between 2 other words that it's seen a lot of. So it. But one things that I think one thing that we do want to do that we used to do, but like we haven't done lately, is like back when we weren't changing the model so often, we would render out like 100,000 images, like for every single, like basically we'd render out images for every single word in like the English language, and you could just look it up and it would instantly give it to you. And that's like a really cool way.
That sounds like a lot of manual labor though for every time.
No. Yeah. Well, what do you mean? Oh, I'm saying is it's not for it's not manual labor. We just like we have a dictionary. We make all the images in a batch. So you can automate it. The challenge was that we like that we had too many versions basically, and we didn't have a way of kind of making it like automatically update to every version. So what we almost need now is we almost need like a dictionary for every word for every version. And I think I never even thought of it quite like that before. I was always like, which version do you make the dictionary for? It's like, I guess I'd make the dictionary for every version, you know? And so theoretically, that's what we should do, is we should have a dictionary for every version that does like all the common words, and that should be something you can look up into. We will probably bring that back at some point soon. I just don't know. It kind of fell off because it basically fell off the earth because of we were doing too many versions, we just couldn't keep up. But I think we're gonna bring it back. It's like part of the new educational stuff that we want to bring back.
That's cool.
So hopefully that helps, because like then you just look at the word. Like if it's a word, you can check a word and see if it knows it without having to make an image.
Yeah, I was thinking this sounds way more complicated than like what I had imagined, but obviously I don't know anything about this. I had imagined some kind of like when I enter a prompt, let's say David H sitting on a couch, and MJ's like, we'll try to generate this, but the word David H is in red on Discord, and I know immediately like, oh, MJ is gonna generate this, but it has no idea who David H is.
It's actually harder to tell it's actually easier to ask it to make a picture than it is to know what it knows.
Oh, okay.
And so basically, it's like, what does it mean to know something? Like that's the problem with AI, is that like it's easy to imagine. Like you can use a word like knowing, and I know what knowing means because I guess I know the word knowing, and I'm using the word know a lot now on purpose to sort of show how complicated that is, you know. But the second you're asking whether a computer knows something, you can't just use the word, do you know this? You have to literally say, what does it, you basically have to immediately answer, what does it mean to know something? Which is like a really philosophical, that's why I stopped so long when you asked. I'm like, what does it mean to know? What is knowledge? I was like, and so like, I actually don't know what it means to know, and I don't know how to measure whether it knows something. Like I can measure if something's in the data set, kind of, but just because the word isn't in the data set a lot doesn't mean that it doesn't know it still. And we don't even understand, like, one of the big mysteries right now is like, how much does it have to see something to know something? It doesn't seem like some things seem to be easier to learn than others too. And so like, it's really counterintuitive, and it's kind of a new field of study. But we can't just render out an image for every single word and just call it, like nuke it from orbit, as they would say.
All right.
And so I think we'll do that again soon. And thank you for reminding me about that.
Well, thank you for bouncing those ideas with us. I think reading chat, a lot of people were really fascinated by that, and it sounds both more complicated and easier than we thought. So thanks a lot for your
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I mean, I think people underestimate that, like, because we make so many pictures all the time.
Mhm.
If you know, because we can just, if we want to make a lot of pictures, we can do it by us. You know, with like we can make a lot of pictures really fast. But yeah, then things like what is knowledge is like really hard. I don't
Yeah,
know.
true.
We
I
have like
think
a philosopher panel next.
yeah, I think like many of us are imagining it a bit more binary. Like, what is a cat? Do you know what a cat is? Like 1 or 0, yes or no? But yeah, the more esoteric words, or I don't even know the word for it, like abstract words, are probably almost impossible to put down.
Yeah, like for
Anyway,
example, if it doesn't
mhm.
know cats very well, like V1 would make these sort of distorted cat-like things, and like it's like maybe that's what a cat looks like, and it got it right, you know?
Uh,
It's like, how do you know? How does it know? It doesn't know. Like it doesn't know whether it's sort of like, how do you know something? Even as like, I guess that's the problem. It's like if you want it to know, it would literally be asking the model, do you know that you know this? And it's like, I don't know if I know it. Do I know it? You tell me. That's basically what the model goes.
oh yeah, you're stuck in
Uh,
like a Dunning-Kruger curve where it
yeah,
doesn't know if it doesn't know.
it doesn't know. Yeah, it's like I've seen that word before. Here's a distorted cat. Is this what cats look like?
All
Or it's
right.
like almost like a child. The child gives you like this terrible cat drawing. It's like, I did it. It's like, well, you did do it, but like it. I mean, the kid did do it, right? It's like hard. Like, who's the judge, basically?
Good job,
So,
chat.
yeah. I mean, maybe one day if we had people like rate images, like you understood this, you didn't understand this,
Hmm.
then we could maybe teach it what that means. So maybe that would be the way to do it.
Oh,
That'd be kind of
yeah,
cool.
that's an interesting, sorry, third question, if that's all right. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the rating system right now, we're encouraged to rate after what we feel is good or bad, right? Like
Yeah.
it's very much on us. But what if I rate something because I really like the image, but it has nothing to do with a prompt? Aren't I teaching the AI something wrong?
Yeah. So right now we actually just the ratings are just off the like whether you aesthetically like it, and it doesn't look at the text very much. When it tries to learn from that.
All right, cool.
But you know, in general, like you should rate it based on whether you like it. It's like that's why they're emojis instead of like it's like literally like the feeling, you know.
Hmm. Hmm. Totally.
Um, and so as long as you're rating it based off how you feel, you're actually doing the right thing.
All right. Thanks, David, for your time. And if whoever's behind me on the queue, sorry.
No
See ya.
problem. Thank you.
Hi,
Hello.
I am here to ask you some questions from the forum from people who don't want to go on voice chat.
All the shy people.
All the
Shout out
shy
to the shy
people.
people. Shout out to the shy people.
Shout
We
out to
love
the
you.
we
We
love
love
shy
you.
people.
We love you, and we can watch you. We can see you, whatever you're doing, and you're being shy about. No, okay. Yeah. I mean, I used to be the shy person. I'm like an extroverted introvert, really.
Okay, I'm the same way. And actually, it's so funny how I was so nervous the first time that I got on this voice chat with you, and it was only 600 people. And like now it's so much easier, almost twice the size. So it's
Yeah.
really,
Yeah, no, you can literally be like, man, I talk to 1,000 people every week, and people are like, what?
that's true. Wow.
Yeah.
I have some questions for you if you're ready.
Mhm.
So I know this gets talked about a lot in the weekly office hours, but a lot of people are asking this week, especially about updates about the API and also about in-painting and out-painting. So are there any updates you can give us there?
We are not currently working on in painting or out painting. It is something we might do one day, but we are not currently working on it. We are working on our general server that powers like that basically provides an API for both the website creation and the Discord creation. And as that sort of global API works better, that will be inching us closer to a public API. That makes
Yay.
sense?
Yes, a lot of people have been very interested this week specifically about that. So even that update I think is great, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know when that's going to be ready still, because like the problem is that like we barely have the people to get it working for the website right now. And
Right.
so we have to have somebody who's like dedicated to just like making sure that it's ready for the public, because that's actually like a lot more work.
Mhm.
But like it will happen. I just don't know when. And it's not the number one priority. But like basically the way that we're thinking about it is like the most important thing is that we like build a good product and good technology with like a core ecosystem and product and community.
Mhm.
Building like a thing outside of that is something that's like morally the right thing to do, but it kind of has to come second, because like we have a lot of obligations to people who also just use it every day, you know, and we can't program.
100%. Yeah. It's good to know that I think it's good to know that it's at least like on your list of stuff though. Like a lot of people just really want to know if it's even something you guys are thinking about. So I think that's really helpful.
Mm-hmm. We're definitely like gonna put limits on it. Like the goal of the API is for people to like build different front ends and integrations and like hackathons. Like I don't think we're gonna make the API for people who want to make like 30 million images and like
Right.
flood the internet or something like that.
That'd be a
Like
lot.
the API is will be more meant for personal use, you know, at day one, or for like sort of small community use than is meant for like somebody who wants to like do big oil but for images or something, you know, like
Mhm.
pump them all out of the ground. Because like yeah, we don't, but I think there's a lot of cool things that could happen with like people just playing with stuff for themselves and for like their friends and communities and stuff that's not like things with I think some having limitations will like allow a lot of innovation.
Cool. Well, moving on, I have some other questions for you to get through. This is kind of two questions put into one. One person was asking about when you mentioned earlier about that you look at the new algorithm every day and test it, and every day you're seeing if it's better or not, or if it's getting better every day. And they said, what does better mean? How are you defining that? And another person asked, what do you mean by vibey? They heard you talking about vibey a lot on the past office hours, and they don't really understand what that means.
Yeah, I would say that vibey is kind of like maybe like the opposite of literal. So like Dali is very literal. Like if you say dog, it will give you a photo of a dog.
Yeah, it's like
And whereas I think what we're trying to do is like the scientists at MidJourney are saying, what is the essence of dog? What is dog in itself? What is like the platonic ideal? What is the whimsical and the beautiful and the like? That would be like the marketing version. I'm actually not a marketing guy, but like that would be the like the Jurassic Park version, I guess.
Right.
Trying to try to figure out what that like that sort of more like abstract essence of dog, and it doesn't and it should not look like a photo. So I think that's kind of the challenge. It's like when artists make something, they're not just like there are some artists that just try to make something look photorealistic, and that's cool and difficult and awesome. But I think a lot of artists trying to like get at the sort of human experience itself,
Mm-hmm.
and so trying to get the models to like move away from being like literal in a photographic sense to being sort of like meaningful in a human sense is like a key thing. And trying to understand like what actually causes that and how do we make more of that is like a really interesting challenge that the team cares about.
Yeah, I definitely see vibiness as almost as like a magic, like the magic of MidJourney, a bit of like what can you input your prompt and then like get something back that actually surprises you and makes you go, wow, like that's cool. Instead of just like exactly what you might have expected. Which maybe actually be a little bit more boring than what MidJourney would give you.
Yeah, we definitely don't want it to be boring.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Mhm.
and this goes into the first part of the question too, is like, so is like vibiness what you're looking for when you're like training the model to be better every day? Are you looking, I'm assuming it's like it's going to be a mix in between vibiness and cohesion.
Yeah, I mean, we test for like, yeah, like if you ask it for a circle, can it make a circle? If you ask it for, we have we do one test lately where we ask it for 64 kinds of animals, and we
Oh.
see if it can draw all 64 animals. Because like V3 and V2 can't, for example. Like V3 and V2 like don't cover a lot of animals, you know. So we say, hey, just give us 64 animals. We have we do a lot of grids. We have another grid that's like literally all the worst, not safe for work, hostile prompts
Oh God.
that that the community has made, and we literally will like say like, okay, this is like a stress test. Like, will it actually make any nudity? And we'll be like, to be honest, we don't usually get 64 out of 64 with no nudity, but like, like the beta one was like 9 out of 10 nudity, and like, and now I think it's like 1 out of 10,
Right.
and that's pretty good.
Right.
And so like, and then there are other areas where we give it like we'll like ask it to re-render Magic the Gathering cards, because it's kind of like a cool thing. They're like all thematic. Like, can you create a thematic set that looks nice? We'll ask it to do things like we'll just ask it. Sometimes one of my favorite sets lately is like ask it for 64 pictures of imagination, like a single word that's like vague and like not really strictly defined in any sense. So to see like how imaginative it is with the concept of imagination, we do a lot of ones where we test weird words, like the flower punk, which isn't like a real word, but like how well is its ability to understand words that aren't words.
Right. Things in context.
We have literally like 25 tests that we look at. We don't look at all of them for every version, but there's a lot of things that we're testing. Like, in order for me to like be productive at tuning a MidJourney algorithm, I will use up 200 GPUs simultaneously in real time. So like, I'm like, A, B, test this, and there's like 200 GPUs going, like 200 of the highest end GPUs going, just to like basically allow me to have a sort of coherent flow state experience to be able to tune it. And to be honest, it's getting so good that like I don't know if I can do it anymore sometimes. And so we're trying to figure out what our next level of infrastructure is to make it even better, to like make really subtle and nuanced tuning decisions. Because like, yeah, lately one of the reasons why we didn't update like a new thing was we were getting like 3 versions, and I was like, oh damn, that looks good. Damn, that looks good. Damn, that looks good. And then we're all looking at it, we're like, damn it, they all look good. And we like couldn't actually pick. And so we were like, you know what, we need to just like step back, and we either need better systems or we just need a version that's like obviously way better,
Maybe get like some art critics in there or something.
Yeah, we've thought about getting like an art critic Illuminati.
Illuminati?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what it would be, right? It'd be like this Illuminati. They'd be like, that is artistic, that is not artistic. And then it would like, be a little, we can do it. Basically, there's 3 things we can do. We can either give ourselves better tools so that it's more obvious to like a single person what is right and what is wrong. Or we like get a panel of experts, and they like, they're going to argue over whether imagination should be a light bulb or a cloud. Or we do something where we like scatter it back to the community, where the community like rates on lots of images, and they don't know which version is which image, but they're just rating images, and then we let like the aggregate statistics is used for us. I think it'll eventually get to the last one. I think what's going to be is we're probably going to work on better tools for ourselves, rather than a tool for the community to actually help us choose.
Mhm.
Probably going to do that, but or we might do something weird where like you might visit a website with a captcha, and all of a sudden the captcha is going to be like, which flower is more beautiful, and you're going to be like, oh shit, it's MidJourney.
Oh
Like
my
that might happen too. Real chance.
Yeah, I think it'd be really interesting to have like a mix of people too, maybe. Like, I don't know, I could see art critics from like the fine arts world like having completely different opinions than somebody like doing CGI, or I don't know. I'm very interested in bad art. And so when the guy earlier was talking about bad art, I was like, yes, yes, I love that. And that's like very different than what's considered beautiful by most, right? And so
Yeah,
that
no,
would be interesting if you could like compile all of that somehow.
yeah, I'm like a little worried that like the truth is probably like, if something is not obvious to David with the best tools that I can make for myself, then if I give it to a bunch of art critics, it's going to just result in this like massive conflict, and like, because it will be less obvious to them. Like they'll be more sophisticated in terms of art, but less sophisticated in their ability to like look at 1,000 images and make a guess at something, because that's like a different skill almost. It's so
No,
hard because like
it's like you have to
each
have
version will make beautiful images that you want to never forget, and then you have to forget them. Like I have so many images that like I was like, God, that's the most beautiful image ever, and then like all the other images around it suck, and I have to throw that away. You know?
I would at
Uh,
least love to like get these people in a room just to see their
yeah.
reaction to this, like live, like a live stream of this or something. You're making me think hard on this now. I really want to see what people would think and what they'd bring to that. Just
It
like
could be
make
like a reality TV show where they all get like really upset with each other and start yelling, and it could be like we could broadcast it.
it could be the AI art wars.
It'll be like, so you think you can be an AI artist or something,
Oh
and
my
it's all
god.
just like real people arguing over what it should do, and then I guess
Oh,
to be really funny would be, I think the funny one would be like, yeah, at the end we actually have the users decide, and then we figure out which of the contestants were best able to predict which versions were right. Like that'd be fun. I don't have the management ability. Basically, the reason why we're avoiding the art panel right now is that I barely get to talk. Like I can barely talk to all of the engineers every day, and so the
right.
second we have like an extra 10-person panel that's going to be arguing viciously, and we're having to teach them, like I just literally can't do it. I barely have enough time to. Like this morning, I woke up and I was talking to one of the engineers, and I'm like, "Cool, you're gonna get me this. You're gonna train this thing for me, and we're gonna change this, and this should be better." And he's like, "Okay, cool. When should I when will you be able to test it?" It's like 9 a.m. Right? I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I should be able to test it by 6 p.m. today." Like I literally will not like 9 hours until I have time to test the thing that he's doing. So like it's pretty bad right now. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna have better tools for us, and then we're gonna have a way for the community to help us figure it out. And then I don't know. One day I think we should do the aesthetic Illuminati, but I have to figure out the right way to do it. Like for example, I was talking to one of my friends, like one of the makers of CoStar. Like they're like amazing. They're like really good design, you know.
Astrology?
And the astrology app. Like they're very good. They're very good at design. And like
Astrology, but that's a hot
yeah,
take.
look, I'm not here to talk about astrology. I'm talking about design. Uh, and it's and they were like, oh no, like you got too much deviant art in your feed.
No, no.
And like I was kind of like, that's fair, you know, that is fair. Like there's a lot of deviant art like stuff on the front page sometimes, right? And that's not ideal. We want it to be weirder than that, and so like those are, but then I was like, is this deviant art? Like hand with the butterfly, and they're like, oh no, that's not deviant art. Like, is this deviant art? Like no, that's not. This is good. No, that's totally deviant art. Get it out of here. And I lost I'm like too deep in it. I almost like can't judge what is deviant art in the bad way now.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so it's kind of funny.
Oh my, is that why you were asking about it? That's so funny. Okay. That's
Oh, there's other reasons for that too, but
that's
like yeah, I don't know. There's lots of It's hard. The tuning is getting really hard, and it's one reason why we slowed down. But I think we have a new version that is better. We'll see. It's like it's so hard. It's like it's probably gonna be like a little less colorful, but like it has better composition. It's more creative. It looks better. It's like much better in every other way. So I was like, do I let it get a little less colorful? Every version's been less colorful than last version, except for V3, which is a challenge actually. But we got to boost the color up soon. Yeah.
Well, I love that answer. Let's just here. I have kind of a interesting but very short technical question for you, and then I will get out of your hair. It made me go, when I saw it. So the question is, if I react on the result or upscale with an emoji, but delete the work later, does it help to train the system or the reaction, or does the reaction only count when the work remains on the web? I say, I'd like to help with the emojis, but I don't keep all of my works on the website.
If you delete it, we still keep it. Like,
okay. Great.
Like if you delete the image, it's still in our database. And so what it is we have a database that tracks all the ratings. And a database that stores all the images. And so, when it goes to look at the ratings, it like doesn't even check if you delete it or not. It doesn't care. It's like, was there a rating? Where's the image? Is the image? It's done. It doesn't pay attention to that.
Awesome. Super helpful. All right. Well, I will be out of your hair until maybe later. See ya.
Okay. Yeah. It's important to learn from deleted images actually, because sometimes there's an image so terrible it has like 10 puke faces, and then a mod deletes it, and we're like, yeah, let's make sure that it knows that was bad.
All right, Bildo, you are up. If you are trying to talk, we cannot hear you.
No, just wanted to make sure I wasn't stepping on anyone's toes. I submitted like 10 questions, so I'm not sure which one I was pulled up for, but I know which one I want to ask. I've been going through and like rating things I find lewd and pornographic versus things that I find artistic and giving them like puke emojis and stuff. The way I've been testing that personally to try to be unbiased is by swapping out prompts like sexy young lady. I will take that out, and I have a Danny DeVito test where I will just pop Danny DeVito right in there. And if it still produces something lewd, there's a problem with it. My question is how you guys plan on dealing with that more.
Well, first off, the ratings actually help us deludify it. That's good. That's the main reason why the test was better than the beta. It will keep getting better. And then the other thing is that like all the problems came from a piece of open source code we use that had porn in the dataset, and we will probably remove that as soon as we can. And then the second that's removed, there will be no like it's not the problem isn't that there were bikinis in the dataset. The problem is that there was a person in a bikini right before they had wild sex or something, and like where it's like clearly it wasn't a normal photo of a bikini, and so basically the second that the data is cleaned, and the data was cleaned originally, which is why I was a little upset about this. Like the data set literally says porn, not porn. It's like one of the columns, and then the person who trained it like just ignored the column because they're like, whatever. Like, how much could it hurt? And it hurt. It hurt a lot. Everyone was surprised, but it was bad. So unfortunately, we're gonna get rid of that I think we're gonna get rid of that as quickly as we can. We already have versions where it doesn't have it in there, and like all of it goes away. Like it turns out that the average bikini photo that's not in porn is not that sexy. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, and you can kind of tell when people are trying for problematic things, but like if I put Danny DeVito in there and it still gives me like a quote sexy busty lady, there's definitely like an issue,
Yeah, I agree. I like the Danny DeVito test.
It really sorts it out well, I posted a couple pictures in the voice channel text that were interesting to say the least.
I wonder. I find somehow that I somehow believe that Dan DeVito would be honored for this test.
I thought of that. I was like, who would be less offended by this if they just found it randomly on the internet?
Yeah,
But yeah, like some of the prompts, I won't say them because like then it'll be more of an issue. But like, yeah, you can tell some of them are just like straight up an issue.
Yeah, I think at some point we're meaning to add like report a user feature, and then right now what we do is we do this thing where like we kind of look for prompts, but we don't have a great analytic system that tries to flag users.
Mhm.
And so over time we're going to build a system that like flags the users, where it's like you might be just barely skirting the line with your prompts, but then if you do it 100 times, like at some point this is going to be like, okay, this is really sketchy, and then send it to a human, you know?
Yeah,
And
both
so-
of the pictures that I posted there that people are reacting to, first try, first attempt. So it's definitely
I'm sure it probably wasn't
Yeah.
the first time for whoever did it,
for
right?
them,
They
yeah,
were
for sure, yeah.
like the people who do this, they spend a lot of time crafting
Really fine tune
the
it. Yeah.
perfect. It's not easy getting around like the filters don't generate those images very easily. Like you have to really try. And the problem is that as long as there's some point in the data set, you're going to be able to find some combination of words that will let you get out of the barriers into it. And I don't know. I mean, I don't care that much, like on one level, but on another level, like it gets really creepy sometimes. You know, like I don't care if like somebody gets a boob, but like you get somebody who's like spending all day doing like they're trying to do like Emma Watson nudes. Like that's not cool.
Yeah,
And we should ban that person. It's not right.
That is something that I'm looking forward to is the report like person instead of just the images, because like when you see them skewing more towards like sexy ladies that are naked, and now there's a bunch of young people in their feed, and it's like, oh, okay, well, this seems like an issue, and I would love to report things like that.
Yeah, at one point we actually thought about doing like a report button underneath every image on Discord, but it just kind of fucks with the vibe, so we didn't want to do that, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So then I think we have to like figure out some way to put a report button, but like make it just hard enough to find that it doesn't like make it so that everybody's here to report everybody else, you know?
Again, I use everything on the website because I like how the website works. I didn't notice the bias versus the pictures until you guys pointed it out earlier, and I was like, oh, it really does do that. Holy shit, that sucks.
Yeah.
Another question I had was like beholders, dragons, hands, swords. How are we working to get things to recognize things better without having to literally just rate thousands of my own pictures? I've been here for 30 to 40 days and I have hit 6,000 pictures today, I think, generated.
Nice.
I have a problem.
I think that the problem with swords is that like a slight angle change in the hand like leads to a very different image, and I think there's something about like long sticks that like meet another long stick that is hard for it to learn right now. I don't know what will solve that. Like one way you could solve it is having a lot more data. Another way you could solve it is having a lot smarter model. If I had to guess what solves it, is it'll be like at some point we're going to train a much bigger and much smarter model, and I'm hoping that what happens like there's this like phenomena in AI where it's like you make the brain gets bigger, it doesn't get it. It gets bigger, it still doesn't get it, and then it gets just a little bit bigger, and all of a sudden it understands everything. Like it snaps. There's like this snap thing where all of a sudden like it has just enough neurons to all of a sudden make a connection, like understanding something about space, and then all of a sudden like it understands everything there. And so I think we're hoping there's sort of like some critical scale of the system where it just like gets that the sword is a stick and it's being held by another stick, which is an arm, and then it just does it, you know? Not sentient. It's yeah. Anyway. Are you there?
Yeah.
That answer your question? Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't want to take up too much time. If you guys want to move on to the next one, or I can continue asking questions.
You can ask one more question.
Let me see. I have it written down here. I asked a few. I noticed that there is a skew towards like front page and stuff. I'm not talking about personally for me, but like I see a lot of really, really good art that, I mean, that's just my opinion, but it never gets anywhere near like upvoted or anything just because of lack of visibility. Is that like people not showing their work in the community and stuff like that? Or am I missing something to the voting system?
The problem right now is that what the voting does is it basically like some percentage of the ones that you vote on the ranking page are ones that nobody's ever voted before, and some are ones that people have voted before. So that way we can kind of like confirm things and also find new ones. And the problem right now is that people are making almost 10 times as many images a day as we have votes a day, which, I mean, it makes some sense. But what that means is that most images are never touched by a voter. And so that's a challenge. And so at some point we need to make a system that I think ideally what would happen is the AI would be like, ooh, that's a good one. And like, I should make sure somebody sees that. And then it kind of like, if it thinks that's good, it'll like increase the likelihood of somebody seeing it, you know? And whereas if the AI is like, oh my God, that one's really bad. Like, well, I don't know if I want to make it disclude anything. But the idea is like something that like makes it so that like something nice is more likely to get hit by a human. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's it's also possible that one day we'll have like a free tier where like it's like a free tier where like people like earn free images by just rating images. And like right now you can do that already. The ranking page will like give out a free hour to the top 1,000 people a day, free GPU hour. But like at some point what we might do is we might actually have a tier where even if somebody isn't paying at all, if they're rating enough, we let them use it. And then maybe when we do that, we'll actually be able to get ahead, right? Because then like, yeah, if like the average person is making 100 images but rating 2, whereas like if you need to have people who are almost rating more than they're making in order to basically make up. Right now, the average person makes more than they rate. And so you almost need to have another group of users who are rating more than they're making in order to like actually hit everything.
Break into a community that judges art and doesn't necessarily use the AI.
Yeah. It's still a lot. Like it's you need millions. Like we need it's almost I don't think that you could get it for volunteer. I don't think we could get a volunteer at that scale. It's pretty big. We could like start putting it into CAPTCHAs or something, but I think it would be too expensive for us to afford right now. So I think we need a way basically to get people to do it for basically in exchange for something that's in exchange for something else like making images. And then we need some way for the AI to kind of help find the good ones. Yeah. For example, the AI has some idea of like how nice the image looks. And so in theory, it could say like, here are the 10 nicest ones that were made today that nobody rated. I'm just going to make sure somebody looks at those just in case. You know? So that would be, at some point we should try that. We haven't done that yet.
I do like that. And for people who are listening, every time I go to rate pictures, I get at least like 1 fast hour. It's not very hard to make the criteria for just looking at pictures and voting for the ones you like.
Yeah, I mean, for people who are on the $10 plan, you can pretty easily get like a $30 value of a plan by just rating every day or every other day. So, I mean, there's only so much room right now. It goes to the top 1,000 people, so get it while you can. But yeah, unlike a lot of days, you can get it really fast.
It's
really
wild.
easily.
Most days that I rank, I get at least an hour, and I'm like, it's so wild to me that I ranked enough for it to count. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. we have to at some point we might set a minimum where you have to rate at least this many, but then we would do a maximum where it's like if you do this much, we're definitely giving you an hour. Like we've thought about bounding it, but right now we don't. So like if nobody votes that day and you vote 1, you get an hour. There's no minimum.
Either way, thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Yep.
Cool.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
I actually had a relevant question kind of relating to the users kind of finding words to game the system. So I was thinking, what would you think about like a language model that classifies prompts and kind of measures the abusiveness of it, I suppose?
Um, sorry,
Like
something that just looked at.
let's say you feed it into let's say you feed the prompt into like a GPT model that is specifically trained for the prompts, and it says, I don't know, 80% abuse rating, for example. Yeah,
Yeah, we're working
yeah,
on
like
like a fuzzy. We're working on like a fuzzy. Right now, it's very binary. It's like, did you say boobs or not? And then we're trying to make it so it's more fuzzy, where it has like a, and then so that way, like if you're good, but maybe like a little bit suspicious, and it adds up over time, it'll flag the person. But also like if we're working on a fuzzy thing that's like smarter. I don't know when it'll work or if it'll work, but it should. We're working on it, and hopefully it should work.
yeah. Another question I had was, how does MG, I guess it's a difficult one. How does MG understand the prompt? Does it have like a language model, like an internal language model? Because I know Dolly uses GPT-3 to understand the prompt and then make the image. Does MG do something similar?
Yeah, it has like a language model.
How does it differ to GPT?
Well, GPT is specifically made. Its understanding is focused on being able to predict the next word, and of course, it's never seen a picture in its little life. Whereas our situation is not trying to predict the next word; it's trying to understand the connection between words and images. And the way it's basically, it judges its understanding by its ability to connect words with images. So GPT-3 is judging its understanding by the ability to predict the next word. So they're both modeling language, but they model languages off of two different like sets of values.
Oh, I see. So, for example, sometimes I could prompt something like blue hair and it would make the background blue instead. And I read some papers on it, and apparently this happens with clip models specifically.
Where you say
Yeah,
blue what?
like blue hair.
Blue hair, yeah.
Another question I
Um,
had was, do you guys use variation seeds? Because, yeah, that's the question.
variation seeds?
Yeah, how come when you use a seed, the outcome isn't like deterministic?
Because GPUs aren't actually deterministic.
Oh,
Uh,
that's interesting.
GPUs have like a ton of little like micro execution things, and they have like rounding, and they are lower precision. And so like GPUs, generally speaking, what they say, the GPUs have rounding error. So like sometimes it might be like 8.334, and sometimes it might be 8.333. And so like the little digits at the end of the numbers are not guaranteed to be the same for every number in every run. And what that does is like a single iteration of the model will look the same, but over time, those like little differences will add up like the butterfly effect and then change little or big things in the final image.
I see. Quite interesting.
So GPU determinism is actually quite challenging. It's not built for determinism. Whereas like CPUs are deterministic. CPUs are strictly deterministic. GPUs are not. That's because GPUs like were made for computer graphics, and you would never be able to tell if like a pixel was like one pixel value, like brightness different. So like for graphics, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter, and it makes sense for them to like not optimize for that. And so when you use deep learning and AIs on a GPU, all of a sudden you're kind of taking the same trade-offs that were made for computer games and applying them to AI. And sometimes those trade-offs do weird things, like make it so that your AI images are different every time a little.
Yeah, but I guess it's consistent enough that you could get a good image and train the model.
Yeah. Well, I
Is
mean,
it?
training the model doesn't need as much training a model doesn't need determinism. But making a result the exact same every time, to every decimal point does require the determinism.
Yeah. What do you think about tile upscaling, where you divide the image into tiles and then upscale them independently?
I think it's cool. I think our thought was to just like upscale everything all at once because we're gonna have big machines soon. I could definitely imagine
Mhm.
where we do tiling instead. I guess it'd be slower, like linearly slower.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because
I
I
think our
was
hope right now
thinking,
is just have big machines that do big resolution instead.
yeah, because I was thinking if you tile it up, you could almost generate like a picture of the Milky Way and then tile it so small that you could literally zoom into planets. It would be insane. Albeit you would probably need a big disk to store all of it.
I think the challenge with the tiling is that like you get like it might not be coherent. Like you get those like multiple heads, like a head stacked on top of a head stacked on top of a head. Like you might get weird repeating details in ways that like aren't exactly ideal. Whereas when you do it like all at once, it like the neural network sees the whole image, and so it doesn't like it's aware of everything as it's making it bigger.
Sure.
In theory, that's the advantage. Right now, people make tall images and you get like two heads. That's considered to be a bug, by the way, and we want to fix that. So enjoy that bug while it lasts.
Mhm. This is more of an opinion thing. What do you think about AI companies getting acquired by large businesses? For example, OpenAI used to be independent, but since Microsoft became like a large investor, they closed their models and only Microsoft has access. I mean, everyone else has API, but Microsoft has exclusive access to the actual models.
Yeah, I mean, like Microsoft does have a lot of influence over OpenAI, but I guess the plus side is that OpenAI still exists.
Yeah.
And so if Microsoft didn't support them, then they would have to either find somebody else to give them $1 billion, like Saudi Arabia or like a Russian oligarch, or they would have to become like a non-profit, like, and raise money from people, like the way that a non-profit normally would, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Um,
yeah, I think one of the challenges is like in Silicon Valley, raising money from other companies instead of making money is kind of a thing that everybody does. And so you end up with this culture where like people almost don't know how to build a product or a business anymore. And on top of that, like people see raising money as success. They'll be like, "Oh my God, you raised $1 billion! You're so successful." Even if you're like losing money or never made money ever, like some like there are some startups out here with like $1 billion that probably make less money than a lemonade stand,
Uber.
But like, yeah, Uber maybe. I take Ubers. I use it, but like you're right. And like, but yeah, so it gets a little weird out here, and I think people can lose track of reality.
Yeah, I hope what doesn't happen is that big companies see the potential and they just start buying up everything. That would be, I don't know, it could be good because you would get like billions funneled into it, but it could also end up like really closed off companies just competing with each other.
Well, remember, a lot of people make companies out here just to get acquired, so that's their goal. A lot of people actually make companies with no intention to be a long-term thing, and I actually, to be honest, I think we might MidJourney might be the only one in the space that has any long-term goals. Like, I don't know. Like, I think if you ask the average person what's 10 years out, like they have no idea. Like, most people are not actually. Yeah, they're not. It's not clear. I think a lot of people are not in the space for the long term. Whereas I don't know. I usually do things for a while if I do it.
Live in
But
the moment.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Well, it's not really living in the moment. What it usually
Yeah.
is it's like image making is hot right now. I can get famous or rich with this, and so I'm like, what do I need to do to get famous? What do I need to do to get rich? What do I need to do famous? What do I need to go rich? And then like they literally don't think about anything else. They don't think about like what's good for people, what people actually like, what's a real product, what's a real business. They're just trying to think about like the rich and fame thing, which just kind of like isn't something that really helps anybody because best case, like worst case scenario, like they're not rich, they're not famous, they just wasted their time and everybody else's. Best case scenario, they're rich and famous, but like all they ever wanted was to be loved, and it turns out being rich and famous like doesn't necessarily give you that, you know. There's a bit of a thing that some people out here they go like everybody knows that being rich, everybody knows that money doesn't buy you happiness, but everybody thinks they're going to be the one rich guy who's happy. You know. It's like I know the rich people aren't happy, but not me. I'll be the rich happy guy, you know. And so it's a bit weird. I don't know. It's not ideal. That's all. That's my rant.
Relatable.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I just want to work. I just want to make cool things. I just want to work on. I just want to like, yeah, make like cool things with cool people and have fun. You know, like if I can be supported by a community, that's great. If I can make things for people and help the world, that's great. That's important to me. But like, yeah, I don't know what is money for really even, like, I don't know. I think, yeah, I can't say that, like maybe there's a universe where it makes sense. Like maybe one day MidJourney needs $1 billion to do something. And so maybe we should raise $1 billion because it'll do something amazing. But you know, right now when people offer us money, I'm like, what is money for but the pursuit of beauty? And isn't that what we already have? Like, what do we need that for, you know? And they usually don't know what to say because they're here to give money. They're not here to, that's what, you know. And so, yeah.
It's quite profound.
Yeah, I'm not saying investors are bad. Investors make a lot of good things happen. There are a lot of beautiful things in the world that had investors, you know. But it's definitely a thing where like money can distort reality. And you have to be really careful about that. And fame distorts reality. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If I could ask one more.
Go ahead.
If I could ask one last question, but I think you had something to say.
No, go ahead.
Okay. If you guys are training based on user ratings, aren't you guys gonna end up training the AI to like favor a small set of users that rate a lot of images, like their personal preferences and biases?
Yeah, it's a concern. We're gonna have to create some kind of like sanity checking rating system that is not rated by the users at some point. We're working on this right now. Like you're probably gonna see like ratings at some point pop up in CAPTCHAs or something.
Oh.
Like you're gonna see them like appear elsewhere on the internet. And so we basically need to find some other place on the internet to rate images that isn't MidJourney to make sure that like no one's messing with it too much, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna do some new rating systems at some point where it's gonna be like, here's like 10 really crazy different versions of a dog. Which dog do you like? And then basically like the AI will actually be trying to do the weirdest dogs it can that it's never made before and no one's ever been able to make. And then you're actually helping it like choose how to be crazy in a new way, you know? So we're gonna need something like that pushes it out. Yeah.
It actually raises another question. Like AI is getting really good at drawing images, and I guess it's also gonna be really good at recognizing images now. They might need to change the way they do captures.
Yeah. I mean, I know the CAPTCHA people. They're pretty smart. They basically have to there's only The only like if you have a CAPTCHA business, the only thing you care about is if the CAPTCHAs are working and if people can fool it. You know, like the
Mhm.
most. And so like they're really on top of that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was actually doing one specific captcha. They started saying things like, "Click on the lion that has its mouth open and is female." It's getting ridiculous.
yeah, they have like extra hard CAPTCHAs. It's really interesting. I've been learning about the CAPTCHA industry. Sorry for everybody who hates CAPTCHAs. Maybe we'll make them better soon. I don't like the traffic light one. I'm so tired of telling an AI where the traffic light is.
Oh yeah.
I'm just so tired of that one. Like, any really, give me anything but the traffic light CAPTCHA, you know?
Oh yeah, car ones. Anyway, thank you for your time. It was really
No problem.
constructive.
Thank you.
Hi, I've got limited fucking time because I gotta go back to work apparently. So, quick question. Actually, quick thing. How you doing?
All
So
right.
I've been using this bot for about a month, 2 months. I can't fucking count now. First off, I came to use this bot for fucking to work on my writing because the art that it's produced is fucking amazing. The shit that this thing has done for like $30 a month, plus I started paying for the private shit. This stuff does amazing work. The fact that I've seen people in the beginning when I joined like a month ago complaining about this shit like it's too much. I want to say this. They've never commissioned an artist, a good artist, to do shit for them. Like the good artists will cost you about like $200, $300, or even more than that. And the fact that you guys are only charging $30 for this shit, it's fucking amazing. You could have charged more than that, but you guys are actually being fair about the price.
Yeah, we're trying. We want to. I think our goal is to drive the price to zero. Really, like make it so everybody can have it. And so we're trying to like balance between a zero price and like a fair price, and and like not something that's not too yeah. I think the average person's like, how much can we charge for it? Whereas like, how little can we charge for it? Yeah. I don't know if you, no people don't know this story, but the first month, the first month was just $30 unlimited, no relax mode, and it was almost okay. But then the top 10% of people, they made so many images that we like lost ton of money. It was like just those top 10%, basically. Like they didn't sleep, they didn't eat, they just made pictures all day. And it like wiped everything out. And so we basically, that's why there's a relax mode basically. And ever since we have relax mode, it's been okay.
Okay. Yep. Sorry. Multitasking.
Okay.
One sec. But yeah, so wanted to say that about the bot. Also, I just want to say there's been some talented fucking people you've had on this site. I know I curse a lot. I apologize.
It's okay.
Language. The people I've met through this damn like Discord, you have some talented freaking people on here. And with that in mind, there's one thing I want to say before I have to go take off a load off a truck. There's also some things I've been tracking. In fact, I saw that Molang's in the chat thing. Molang knows what I'm talking about. I've made some weird shit. I've made some cool shit for my characters, my world setting, my writing, and all that shit like that with this bot. Stuff that would have cost me thousands of dollars for the quality of it, shit like that. I've also seen shit that I've been looking at that I know you guys have been tired of this shit. You're tired of hearing this crap. And all I want to say is this. I've been watching like shit that I've been like searching and destroying, trying to find what the hell's going on with these people. I know you guys are trying to keep track of shit. And I know you guys are doing your job as devs, as mods, as staff. There's just some. I want to say that art is a crapshoot. Art is one of the biggest crapshoots to ever exist. I don't know how the hell you monitor it. I don't know how you handle it, but it's one of the biggest crapshoots to ever freaking exist. I don't know if you drink yourselves to death sometimes or just go crazy, but I don't know how the hell you do it.
Okay. Oh, we can have one of the moderators talk about it. How much whiskey does Ancient Chaos have when he's doing the moderation feed?
Usually none. So that's good. But It can be rough sometimes. Everyone else being supportive and cracking down on it and reporting it all to us so we can get it out, that's what helps a lot. So,
At least at the end of the day, none of the pictures are real, right? Like when Facebook
Yeah.
moderates, they're actually moderating real fucking pictures of terrible stuff. That sucks. Not to belittle it, but like that's what comforts me. Like if like 5% of the pictures that I've seen that were disturbing, if any of them were real, I would be not in an okay place. But luckily, none of them are real. And maybe it's even good that like somebody got to make that picture instead of that reality. You know? I don't know.
I get it. One last thing, because then I gotta go. This is a crazy ass process. The fact that you guys are doing this shit, the way that this art is going, I don't know if it's gonna put artists into a new playground of what they can and cannot do physically, or it's gonna put them out of work. Either way, this bot's amazing. And also because someone that I know that's in this Discord keeps driving crazy with it, vote Devi for some goddamn reason. There, I said it,
Yeah.
Devi. Blah.
Well, thank you. I would like to say that, like, I think in some ways what we're seeing is like the mass proliferation of reading and writing. Like once upon a time, most people couldn't read and write, and now everybody can. And now that everybody can read and write, there are more professional writers and more professional readers than there ever were in human history. And so I do think that, like, if anything, I think everybody here could say from experience that making images in MidJourney actually makes you like appreciate art more and like art history more and like artists more in a way that's like pretty profound. Like I know more artists and art movements now than I ever did before, and when I see it, I like appreciate it more. Like things I would have just walked past before, like I stop now because I'm a more visually literate person after having MidJourney. And like having that literacy is a great part of having that appreciation, and having a society that appreciates like the visual language more, I think will just make everything we'll make everything better. And yeah, I mean, we have a lot of artists on here. We could have some come up even, but most of the artists similarly feel like it's empowering. And so I feel that's really important to me too.
Yep, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. I had more, but then things happened. So,
okay.
You guys have a good one. Thank you for bringing me on. Take the hell. Have a good day.
Thanks for being part of the community.
Okay.
Sorry, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Hey, David. I hope you're doing good. I absolutely love MidJourney. I just had 2 questions. First, I was wondering if there was like any thought being put into like having just like a weekly or just bi-weekly like little update thread, just kind of like maybe based on what you discuss in office hours, because just usually I'm just kind of busy like with school and work, so I can't attend. And so like I'll just like hear information like secondhand like from someone in the Discord. I think it would just be nice to have like a more official source of like things that are in development or that ideas that are being developed. And then secondly, I was wondering if it was potentially being worked on for like something that would allow you to like kind of redo a prompt, but like only changing a specific thing. So like if you generate like a green alien and you want to kind of keep a similar design and composition, but you want to just like make it blue, for example, like is there anything like that in development?
We're trying to figure out how to do that in the right way. The challenge right now is that like the AI sees an image actually very differently than a person, and so asking it to change the color but not the composition is actually really hard for it to do. Whereas like for a human, that's the easy thing. Like it sees colors more strongly. Like humans see edges more than they see colors, whereas like the AI actually sees colors more than it sees edges. And so like in order to make it so it kind of like sees things the same way as you, we have to actually change how it works, and we haven't gotten around to doing that yet. And so we tried doing that we actually tried testing it at one point, and people would literally do that. They'd be like, I want the flower to be blue. And it would like completely change the flower, and they'd be like, no, it's a different flower. And the AI's like, no, it's still a flower, and it's blue now. Like the AI like was like it like and then people got really they were literally getting angry at it. And it was like real anger. Like that's the only anger I've ever seen in MidJourney. It's like, I fucking told you to give me a flower and it made the flower different, and like people got really angry. And so like I think they feel like I think when you use it right now, you kind of like take a certain, you're kind of like you're giving it a certain amount of control, and then the second you like give yourself the ability to try to correct it with language, and it doesn't understand you, it becomes like an argument or like it creates this like bad interaction that's like way worse than for some reason than much of the other things. And so we want to do it, but when we do it, we want it to work 90% of the time. Do you know what I mean? We want it to work in like an intuitive way. And we have some good ideas. It's probably not this round of features, but it's probably like the next round of features. Like, yeah, it's probably not this month, but maybe it'll be like next month type of thing.
Awesome. And then kind of further going off of that too, I was wondering specifically with color, if there was like any thought being put into like being able to just put in like the specific color code, like if you want a specific thing, because I've noticed like with green, for example, it tends to do like more of like a bluish green as opposed to like, I don't know, like a more like vibrant green. So is there any kind of thought being put into like that level of like specificity with the input?
Yeah, in theory, we thought about like giving it knowledge of hex codes and fonts and all that stuff. We haven't gotten to do that yet. That's kind of the stuff that we're going to start doing after we have the next version of the model. Because like basically when we have the new model and we're happy with it, then we can start like training it more, like giving it more knowledge, you know?
Right.
But right now what we've been trying to do is we've been trying to hold the knowledge fixed, but change the model.
Okay, awesome. Well, those are all my questions. Thanks, David. You have a good day.
Thank you.
Testing.
Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Good.
Do I have audio yet?
Yep, we can hear you. Can you hear
Okay,
us?
sweet. All right. My mic was just freaking out right as I was trying to get ready for that. NVIDIA broadcast is fantastic sometimes. So yeah, I just wanted to talk to you guys. So I'm a security manager for Cool Cats. I'm a Discord auditor, that kind of thing. So kind of the bread and butter of what I do full time is Discord security. And I've been taking a few looks at your guys' server, that kind of stuff, and I just wanted to pick your brain a bit about what exactly it is you guys are doing to both help protect your users from other malicious actors amongst themselves, as well as helping protect them from if a moderator or a team member were compromised, stuff like that.
There are very few accounts with privileges on the server, so there's not a lot of risk. I would say that we have some bots that automatically detect like bad behavior and ban them. And then like worst case scenario, if somebody like destroyed the whole server, like we actually work directly with Discord and they would fix it.
Okay, so my primary concern is this is a place where money changes hands. And especially you guys have OAuth signing and stuff like that on your website, and that's actually a pretty nifty thing using that to keep track of like payments and stuff like that. But because of that, the amount of damage that people could do, I work in a field where hundreds of thousands of dollars are stolen by a single breach. And kind of looking at your guys' security, I have concerns about it kind of seems like there's like a lack of cold accounts. It seems like there's a lack of kind of the typical practices that you see implemented in place so that people can properly secure their servers. And so, like, for example, team has mentioned all manage servers, manage roles, manage events, all of those things. You have, half a dozen people here who, if any one of them were compromised, could lead scams on the entire server. And so I guess I kind of was wondering, what was your plan for that? Are these team accounts their actual, like, daily driver accounts? Are they cold accounts? That kind of stuff.
It's hard to say. I mean, I'm happy to take it offline if there's specific ideas you have. I mean, I think one thing that is important is that, like, we are not a normal Discord server. Like it is the largest server on Discord. Like we do directly work with Discord now. Like it's not like the average server gets scammed and they can't call up Discord. You know, like
Yeah.
uh,
And I've got people I work with Discord too, and I'm the one who literally made or helped make all of the practices that are used by auditors today in the Discord security space. So I'm no stranger to like having to like come up with new ideas and that kind of thing. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about that because there is a lot of vulnerabilities I see here that are concerning, especially given the scale of the reach that you guys have. So that
yeah,
was all.
I mean, there's no like payments hooked up to the server, for example. Like there's no way to. It's a totally disconnected system. So that's like
Yeah, but at the same time, like it literally takes just dragging a link to your bookmarks bar and clicking it to give somebody the ability to become you on Discord. And the attackers don't care that there aren't payments here. They have 2 million victims here that they can just immediately scam. Does that make sense? So it's about protecting the users and that kind of stuff.
that's like how Discord works, right? So they can't secure Discord itself, right?
There are ways you can work around it. One of the main ones is not having dangerous permissions like mention all and manage roles and stuff like that on hot accounts, but there's a lot of other things you can set up as well.
Okay, well, I would, happy to talk offline and get some advice on whatever you think
awesome.
we can do.
Well, I've shot you a friend request, so.
Oh, just message me. My DMs are open. I have like 5,000 unresponded friend requests.
All right, let me see. Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Yep. And those are pretty much my questions, so. And as a side note, congrats on the fantastic bot. I only discovered you guys recently because I was looking for something as an alternative for being on the waitlist for Dolly, and this is awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Hello. Any more people?
I am trying to invite them up, but I'm not sure if Discord is actually responding to that. So I've got at least 4 more queued right now. Just sent an invite to speak to all 4 of them. Hopefully, at least one of them gets it. Alternatively, if anyone else with the ability to bring people on stage can, here's the current queue. See if invite works for you.
I have a couple more thoughts if you don't mind.
Go for it. We have dead air, so
yeah.
Until Discord gets up together.
I wanted to add to a couple things that the previous speaker was saying. Like, I found MidJourney because I did my whole D&D Kickstarter thing, and I was trying to buy art, literally spending hundreds of dollars on art that I would not consider good enough to put in my my stuff, which I feel bad saying, but like I'm happy to pay the artists so that they can become better artists. But like I wasted a lot of money doing that before I found MidJourney and started creating art myself that is just, I mean, I would consider it to be very good quality compared to what I was paying hundreds of dollars for, So it's literally changed how I run D&D. I'm a professional dungeon master, voice actor. I run like 7 games a week. So there's so much I can express with the AI that I just didn't have representations for. And now it can take me 5-10 minutes to get 10 different images, different angles of some creature that didn't exist before,
Yeah, that's interesting. The dungeon games that will be made will be out of this world.
I have a friend who's working on maps right now, detailed, intricate city and dungeon maps using MidJourney, and it is amazing. I just wanted to say thank you because, like, yeah, no question. Just thanks.
Thank you.
Test? Oh, okay, you can hear me. All right. So, first thing first, sorry for my English. I can better write English than speak. I see some confusing stuff. When I render a 2x2 image by MidJourney, the things are more symmetrically as when I upscale it. Why?
Wait, so you're saying they're more symmetric before you upscale than after?
Right. By the 2x2 grid, by the Imagine from MidJourney, when I do portray or something, and then you can see details on armor there or ears from the person are really symmetrically by the 2x2 grid. And when I press U1 to whatever to upscale it, then it's deforming and it's get more organic, but in this case it's not so good to get more organic. I can show you the pictures.
There are different types of upscales. So if you type /settings, you can pick different ones, and the other ones may give you different behavior. So there's like a light upscaler and a beta upscaler, and those don't change the image as much. The beta upscaler barely changes it at all.
But in the first case, I can only press buttons like U1, U2, U3, and so on.
But if you type /settings, you get a little settings panel, and you can define which upsample is the default for you.
Ah, okay. From the 2x2 grid.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. That was my question. And yeah, the program, like the other one said, hilarious. Wow. I'm very impressed what MidJourney does for creatives. I'm a professional creator in Germany, and if you want to pay something or if you want to do some images like we do at the moment with MidJourney, you spend a lot of hours to do that, and MidJourney does it in 5 minutes when you upscale it. It's heavy. Yeah, nice work. So I'm out. That's
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Hey, David.
Hello.
So I wanted to ask how many people you've hired, since I know that's been a major focus for you.
We've been 10 people for the last 2 months. We haven't hired anybody in the last 2 months. So, actually, we have. No, we hired one person. But the maybe 2. But we we haven't really hired many people in the last 2 months. I just put 2 more job offers out, so that's exciting. And we have 2 or 3 more people who are going through like late stage interviewing that we could also come on. So, if we hired earlier, that'd be 5. That almost, then we're getting. My goal right now is to get us to go from 10 people to 20 people, and then to basically try to get ahead instead of behind of the features for the first time, and then be able to like let ourselves scale like a lot more beyond where we are without everything breaking, basically, and have all the cool features that we basically are ready to do but don't quite enough people to ship.
That's awesome. Have you got anyone in line for the web team yet, or no one yet there?
Yeah, we have a person that's interviewing for the web team right now. That's pretty cool. We have another person who wanted to help with the web team, but he's at Apple, and Apple said, no, we own everything you do, which is mean. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's we could definitely use more web people. I'm not very good at interviewing web people, so like right now we're looking for like people who are either very senior on the website or like who have a portfolio that like is really obviously amazing in some way. Like something, but if it's hard for me to figure out, I just don't have time right now to. Yeah, I don't have time right now to do like an investigation, unfortunately. Which we're trying to do a better job there. We're trying to like have our resume system go to like a formal organizational thing where all the employees can go through it and try to help better. Right now, it just all goes to me, and I get like 1,000 resumes, and I'm trying my best. Please keep sending me resumes. Keep following up. I'm sorry if I haven't gotten back to anybody. but it's definitely been a bit overwhelming.
I get it. Well, it's good news because you're finally having some growth to your team. And I'm just really, really waiting for the feature that I've asked for the first time I talked to you, which is about browsing the entire gallery chronologically because I want to write so much more and just go about it that way. But nothing new from me here. So let's go to the next speaker. And thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Am I up? Hello? Is it my up?
Yep.
Hey, David! It's an honor. It's oh man, I'm so stoked to be up here with you. I had some questions about the machine learning, and I know that you had said that you don't use machine learning off of the images that were generated in the bot. But I was wondering if you would ever create a separate model using that if the images were generated, I don't know, and they looked correct, they looked accurate. So, because I know that you have problems with generating hands or moving objects because the images slightly alter depending on, and they frequently alter depending on their position in space. But if you had like a huge volume of objects to source from, you'd potentially be able to have a machine that would be able to continue to generate those and make them more and more perfect over time. If I have a correct understanding of machine learning with AI, and that's a question to you because I don't really understand.
I mean, we can make as many images as we want. The challenge is actually teaching it what is good and what is bad.
Okay. All right.
You know, and so it's more of a philosophical question. Like, it can make a picture, but is that a good picture? Is that a bad picture? You know, how does it? And like it's like, okay, that one's, you know, like, and it's really not clear. Like, and so it's having to learn a lot of space right now of like what's good and what's bad.
Got you. I was wondering if you had like a third party, like a human, come in and intermediate the bot and to tell it, hey, this is good and this is bad every once in a while to give it some sort of progress report to tell it, you know, you're on the right path, then it could potentially evolve faster, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now, people like rate things, and that's the main signal we get. We don't have we're gonna add more things over time, but right now, like, the one rating system is all we have. And if you can rate pictures up there, and if you're one of the top 1,000, you get a free GPU hour every day.
Right.
So we do a bit of it right now. That's all we got. We don't quite have the people to do anything more complicated right now, unfortunately.
I understand.
We'll get there.
It was a theoretical question. I get excited about this type of stuff. I mean, hey, I'm really excited about this, but I also I heard rumor about layering in the past, and I didn't know if that was something that would be implemented in the near future, and if it would be, could we ever expect to see something like animated backgrounds, simple animations for like falling leaves or running water, or something along those lines?
I think it's possible. It's definitely not like, I think that's something I would like to do. I think that probably comes after the 3D stuff, to be honest.
Okay.
With 3D, solid way on how to do it. And with the animations, it's kind of like not as clear, to be honest.
Got you. I get that. One last question. I had I love the UI. I think it's really simple to use. I was wondering if it would be possible to eventually have a UI that allows us to have more toggleable controls, and maybe take it beyond just one upscale, so that we can continuously hone in on a single image for a good deal of time.
What are you thinking more specifically?
So what I was thinking is I'd love for my images to add more detail instead of just remixing and creating variations of them. So if my image is somebody in space or an alien in space, maybe it understood the prompt, but it didn't really give the prompt as much time as I wanted on it. Maybe it would interpret more details if it spent more time on it. So upscaling again. Or if you had a toggleable control, like you said, like you say, I want more colors, or I want more texture detail. And then it could create a better version of that image, or at least a more version in line to what you were hoping for. If
We
that-
definitely want to let people have more iteration. I think like eventually the best images might be like involve like 12 steps. Like it's like you weave in and out. Like you're trying, like you're giving it lots of feedback and you're kind of converging on something that's really cool. I don't know what that flow looks like yet, but it's something that I'm thinking about for sure. I think though, I don't know if that probably won't be the default way of doing things. That'll be like the pro way of doing things.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, man, it's a great. I'm so happy I've gotten to talk to the legend. I'm so excited to see what you can do.
Well, thank you for being a part of the community. Thanks for being pumped.
Oh man, I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped.
I'm actually starting to run out of battery a little bit at this point because I like my first meeting was at 8 a.m. and I was working till 3 a.m.
Right.
So I think I will take. We'll try to start finding our last few people, Ancient.
I've
And
currently got 3 queued up, so we can probably land on that.
okay, and then we'll try to, and then I'll call it a day. Well, I mean, I still have more to do, but I'm gonna use my last. Yeah, I'm gonna get through like one more meeting after this, and I'm gonna pass out. I can just feel it. Like, yeah.
Make sure you actually eat today.
No, I ate. I'm good.
How's it going, David?
Hello.
Yeah, I can kind of hear that you're a little bit tired, so I'm gonna try and make this as quick as possible so you can get on with your day. All right, man?
No problem.
Okay, so I'm extremely appreciative of everything, the entire community, and the overall product you have going on here. And the possibilities of creating products, the possibilities of doing architecture, 3D design, and everything. It just opens up so many doors for people who don't have the artistic capability to be able to just use it by hand, but the imagination that they have inside of their minds, how they can actually make it into fruition, which is something that is amazing. So first off, thank you so much for creating this amazing system that I'm so glad I can actually experience inside my lifetime. One of the questions I have for you is, how supportive are you and your team in supporting businesses that I guess would piggyback off of the capabilities of MidJourney? For example, like the results that people get based off of their art, and then having the capability of whatever it is that they want to do with that art. How supportive are you of companies that, I guess, thrive off of the results of what MidJourney brings?
How supportive am I of companies that are using MidJourney?
Well, companies that trying to find a way to ask it in a way that's like not, I'm not trying to, it's like a way that I could ask it is, people create their art, right? And then if they wanted to create a canvas or an NFT or something like that, and then they go to an alternative platform for that, how supportive are you of people actually doing that? I know a lot of people come here to do creative work and they don't even really think about making a profit off of anything that they're eating. But that's one of the things that I was thinking about when I first came here, and then also learning to do the things that I was never able to do when it came to art.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, as long as you're like as long as you're having fun and helping somebody, like I'm pretty supportive. I think when if someone's trying to make money and they're miserable and they feel like it helps nobody in the world, it's like, oh man, then try to find something where you're happy at least, or where you're helping someone, you know. But as long as people are like happy, like the most important thing is like just have fun, be happy, and then the second most important thing is like try to help somebody out, try to make the world a little better, right?
Yeah, because
Possible
like
those things should be reversed, but if I reverse those things, then I start sounding a bit ideological. So I'm gonna say be happy first, then try to help. To be honest, if you're just happy all the time in a corner, you're bored. So you have to do something. So you gotta
yeah.
No one's happy in a corner. You gotta be in motion. Yeah. So as long as you're
Because
having fun and helping someone in
I
some way,
definitely look at this as like an opportunity for people to be able to create revenue themselves when they didn't have that opportunity in the past. It's like if you're really good at designing, you can create an amazing product, and you open up an entire product design now, or you can own designer, suits, bags, socks, whatever it is that you want to create. As the system starts getting more advanced, it's going to be crazy with the amount of designers that are going to be implementing this into actual real world physical objects. And that's one of the things that I wanted to just run by you. And like, do you see that capability coming up in the future, to where you have people starting to design actual clothing lines based off of MidJourney?
yeah, I think that's gonna happen. That'll be cool. MidJourney Spring Edition.
Exactly, because I've seen, in my profile at all, I created like entire freaking series of bags just to play around with it. And I started creating suits. I started creating shoes, like dress shoes and everything else. But I thought the capability of it was amazing. But yeah, I sent you a DM. I wanted to talk to you about something that I've got going on, that I think would be a huge contribution to the community of MidJourney, and I think it would open up a lot of doors for people to utilize what they're creating inside of MidJourney a lot more. My thing is that I don't want to take people from MidJourney. I want to work with the community as much as possible and make sure that it's a very cohesive thing. And I don't want you feeling like I'm trying to take people or spam or market or anything else like that. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about it today.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, sounds good. Any other questions, or I'm not sure I missed something there.
Oh no, that was pretty much it. I just
Oh,
if you have time, just check your DMs, and I would love to talk to you more about what it is I'm talking about.
okay, I'll check it out later.
Awesome.
It's probably gonna be after I wake up.
Yeah, absolutely. Get some rest first, man. Get some rest.
Yeah, I know.
I thought I work really hard. You work your ass off.
Yeah, it's tough, but I'm having fun. That's how I make it. That's the good thing about having fun. When you're having fun, it's not really work. It's just that, like, when you're having fun, like, at some point your body is just not able to continue any further.
Yeah, no, I completely understand, because I'm the type of person that when I see an opportunity, I literally just go full throttle towards it and ignore everything else around me, which includes eating and sleep and everything else. If I see something that I really, really, really want to get done, it's gonna get done no matter what. And you seem like you have the same kind of personality, and I can
Yeah.
really respect that.
Oh, thank you. Me too. I mean, it means you're doing what you enjoy. That's most important. Yeah.
Yeah, and you seem like you
That's
really
great.
enjoy everything. So
I'm having fun too. Yeah, definitely gotten a bit weird lately, but that's what I live for, right? That means
the world's a weird place, man.
yeah, when things get weird, that means it's real,
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I mean, I guess more stressed out about it you are. I guess like for things that are happening.
oh, I'm not too stressed, but I'm very low stress. I think, yeah, it's like everything's relative in life, so it's like, I guess this has been pretty good. I'm not so stressed right now.
That's good to hear.
Thank you.
All right, man. Well, I look forward to talking to you more. All right.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
How you doing, David? How's it going, man?
Hello, how are you?
Man, I'm doing so good I can't hardly stand it. I got
Oh,
Last time we talked, I was in Barstow. Today, I'm in Kannapolis, North Carolina. So I'm doing real good. Listen, I just wanted to chat with you about, if you've got the time and don't mind, I'd like to chat with you a little bit about the new user experience.
Of course.
I don't know, how valuable that feedback is, but I'm here in the thick of things, and I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on it. So I thought I would maybe ask some questions and just kind of maybe we can compare notes.
Of course. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Listening to you young folks tire me out, I'm going to tell you. Well, I guess to start the ball rolling, kind of what I'm wondering, because, I've only been with this 9 days. I started 2 Mondays ago. Having a ball, first off. I'm really enjoying the product. I'm just kind of wondering when, there's got to be a mechanism in place where you take people who have not given you any money and you transform them into people who have. That's the new, yeah. And I don't mean to make that sound like I've listened to you enough. I know you're not just some dude in a suit trying to make money off of this thing. This is your passion. I get that. But you still, you got bills to pay. Them A100s ain't cheap, right? So there's got to be a mechanism, more than one, if I would imagine, where you take people, like I say, who haven't given you any money and turn them into people who have. That's the new user experience, and I'm just wondering, what does that look like in the mind of David Holz, CEO and founder of MidJourney.com?
Right now, it's definitely a bit chaotic. I mean, people join the Discord, and they may have never seen Discord before, and then they try to understand how to get into the channels, and they try to find a newbies channel, and hopefully the newbies channel is not too busy. If it's not busy, then hopefully they get to see some cool things. If it's too busy, they're going to feel overwhelmed. Hopefully they're not too overwhelmed, and they either figure out a way to use the bot, in a quiet area, or they get to talk to people. And there's a lot of areas where things can go wrong, and I think there are a lot of areas where things do go wrong. I think probably 3 in 10 people right now don't make it through the user experience in the beginning, which is a real shame. And I want to improve that a lot. And I think there's a lot of areas where that breaks down. I think sometimes just like sort of the shock of all the new stuff. Sometimes it's like somebody's not able to make the picture they want to make. Sometimes it's just like, I mean, probably the number one thing is just being like lost, and then the second thing is being overwhelmed, and the last thing is not being able to make the picture they want to make in the first pictures that they do. I think those are probably the 3 biggest things right now. I mean, or even necessarily understanding what they can do. I think those are probably the biggest things that I see happening right now. There's a lot of things we could do to fix that, but are you seeing different things? What are the things? Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's what you're stealing my thunder. See, I was going to ask you what is the ideal experience like, in your mind, what would it look like? And then I was going to tell you all of the things you just told me. So now I'm kind of stuck. You've stolen my thunder. I don't know what to say now. But yeah, that's that's what I'm seeing too. Do you have plans? It sounds, you're obviously aware of what's going on. What do you have plans in the future for how you can improve some of the things that you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do things where we're going to change the user experience where people still are in a room with somebody else when they first start, but that will automatically kind of do traffic management. So it never gets too busy and it never gets too light. And so that's one thing we'll do is like a traffic management in the new user rooms, and that's going to be important. We're going to do some kind of tutorial and learning process. I don't know what it's going to look like, because you don't want to make them read a book before they start, but also you want to give them some idea what they can do, right? And so trying to figure out how to balance that, helping them understand it and letting them just do stuff. And then the next area is, I think, just letting them kind of see all the stuff that's going on in a way that's not overwhelming. And then I think having them have a sense that there's that there's always people there they can talk to if they want to talk to people, and there are these deep resources that they can go to if they want to try stuff. And ideally, there's ways to learn, like you said before, that don't require that they spend money. Like we have like big dictionaries or encyclopedias, like visual encyclopedias they can look at, and they can see sort of all these things. And then we'll probably have stuff where like it's pre-rendered out, so instead of them trying like 5 versions of stylized, they can kind of use a slider and kind of see how going up and going down affects a picture ahead of time. Trying to do things where we give them examples of every single type of like option that they have, and then just like, yeah, ideally just help them be inspired, like kind of find the people who are most like them, and then find the most inspiring like people in that area, and kind of hopefully that gets them started. I feel like we're going to try to do some aspirational stuff too, where we kind of highlight sort of like some of the really special stuff going on in a way that hopefully gets people excited too early on. Like some people, they never realize that like, you know, people are making t-shirts and posters and board games and like sculptures, and kind of even seeing that early on can affect a lot of people, seeing that it's like you can kind of actually go make stuff with it too. And I don't know, there's a lot of things to try to do. I'm trying to, it's going to be challenging. I think we're going to try to do a bunch of things, and then we're going to see how that works and what feels like the most important thing next is. And then we're going to have to go from there. Like right now we have a big list, but it's hard to know what's going to make the biggest difference. I think that, yeah, I mean, probably some of the biggest differences are if somebody's never used Discord before, like letting them kind of get started without having to learn that. You know, for some people, particularly people who are over 30, like a lot of them have never used Discord before.
Like
It's a
me.
lot. Yeah, I'm not trying to call you out. It's like,
No, you
like
can.
right now,
I'm a crotchety old fart. It's all right.
well, no, like right now, we actually we have more paying users over the age of 45 than under 18 right now, and that's on Discord. And on Discord, most people on Discord are probably under 18. So what that means is that we have a lot of people who are older who love this stuff, and we're probably making it hard on them. And I think that we don't want to do that. But then on the flip side, there are a lot of people who are younger and they live in Discord like every day, and we want to make it really good for them too. So like there are 400,000 servers that people use with MidJourney on it right now, where it's like people with their gaming group or their like a board game group or anime group, and like they like using it, and that's really cool. But then I think trying to be able to kind of recognize that there's the really wide diversity of people coming in here, and trying to have something that's matched better, you know, to all the different sides of it, I think is really important. And yeah, like for example, we find that people who are older, like you don't have to tell them, you don't have to say like, you don't have to teach them words. They got a lot of words already. They have a whole life of words. Whereas like 18-year-olds, they'll literally go, David, I want to make pictures, but I don't have any words. Like, I don't know what words to use. Like, I'm not that good. And like you almost have to teach them words for the first time. And so it's really like they don't have a problem with Discord. They have a problem with not knowing enough words. And then the older people, they have plenty of words and they have plenty of experience, but they don't know how to use Discord. It's like very different problems. So I think
If
like
only there was some way to bring these two experiences together, combine them in some way to make some sort of super team like the Wonder Twins.
That'd be fun.
I'm gonna tell you what my experience is like, and if I start, you have to run, or if I get bored, or you just want me to shut up, let me know. But my experience, I told you last time, I was introduced to the well, I mean, I you know, I'm not dumb. I heard about AI art, and you know, but it was this video on YouTube. They had taken a song from my favorite band and made a video out of it with
which one was it? I was watching it.
Blue Oyster Cult, Don't Fear the Reaper. That's my boys right
saw
there.
that one. It was good. Yeah.
That's tight, isn't it? And so
that's really cool.
But he had the link to your website. So my point of injection into your system was your website. And I'm assuming that I'm in the minority, because I'm assuming that most people come to the project like they just get, you know, a Discord invite link gets passed around, and people like me that go to the website first are in kind of a minority. Would that be correct?
don't know. We don't know. It's not. Discord doesn't make it easy to know where people come from a little. So I think we don't fully know. A lot of people do come from the website. A lot. It might be like 30%. We're not sure.
Right. Well, one of the things I noticed, and I'm just going to speak frank. I don't mean I'm not trying to be a jerk or nothing, but I go to your website, and then here's this website, and it's got this nice little cool retro nerdy blue ASCII punk thing, and I don't even know if ASCII punk is the thing. It might be ASCII wave, it might be ASCII core, but we just gonna go with ASCII punk. And I saw this button that said join the beta, and when I see a button like that, my first thought is why. And that's anybody. And I clicked that button, and it just took me straight to Discord. And I was looking. Your site is it's all hat, it's no cowboy, it's no substance to it. There's very, very light on content. And I feel like, a lot of the things that you were talking about earlier about how you can help people that don't have experience with Discord. Some of them don't even have experience with chat systems other than DMing on Twitter and Facebook, and then you're going to throw them on Discord. And as we know, Discord is a feature-rich interface, which means it's cluttered and confusing. I just feel like you've got that infrastructure there. You could be leveraging that in a way that would enhance the new user experience to take care of some of the things you were mentioning earlier, like make a video. Here, how to survive your first 15 minutes on Discord. Point them at, here are the things you need to know to use before you ever even issue your first prompt. Here's what you need to worry about. You could ignore all this. This stuff is unimportant. You can ignore all this. This is important. Here's the important bits, right? And you also said you don't want to make people read a novel. Well, there are those of us out there. If given the choice, if I was to come to a web page, right, and the web page says, we're going to give you a set of instructions, you can watch it on a video or you could read it. I'm the kind of guy, I'm going to read it first. I might watch the video later, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read it. So there are those of us out here who do that. And I know that because I issued 2 prompts and then I went back and read the instructions when I first started. So I just feel like your website is really underutilized, especially because So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I turned a corner with understanding how the Midge works over about Saturday. Before Saturday, Midge was just a toy, right? And I don't mean that disparagingly. It's a fantastic toy, absolutely mind blowing. Saturday, that was when I first realized, because what I was looking at, I would see people in the gallery and I'd see these fantastic pictures. And I would copy the prompt and go put it in my site and it wouldn't come out. And I thought that people were they were putting in those prompts and getting pictures like that from the jump. What I did not realize at the time, and I realize now, is that mostly it is an iterative process. That's something that you could make clear to people on your webpage. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
That you could have a video say, hey, you see all them pretty pictures? Here's how to make one. And show the iterative process, because I think if I had known that earlier, I'd have gotten, because there's a part when you jump into a new system, when you're brand new, you're so ignorant, you don't even know what questions to ask. Learning the right questions, the correct questions to ask, that's part of the learning process. And so something like that, a video that just shows it step by step. Here we give it this prompt and it produces this thing, and then we make variations of this, and just the whole step, start to finish, just doesn't have, for one picture. And I think that would be very useful for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, we really could probably, some of these probably could even be almost written out, where it's almost like like baking a cake, Right. Like step 1, you type in this thing. Step 2, you're gonna do a variation here. Step 3, you're gonna do this. Step 4, it can almost be like baking a cake. It doesn't have to be like a like some of these, like some of them are one step, you know, with no iteration, but then like you do a little iteration and then you slowly get more and more. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be.
Yeah, one of
I-
my best pictures was pure dumb luck. I put the prompt
Yeah.
in and got expand, you know, but you know, the fact that your thing was a good toy, that got my money, right? That was neat. But the fact that I'm able to now, you know, like I say, there's a mechanism to transform people who have not given you any money into people who have, but there's also a different set of systems that you need to have in place to take people who have given you money and transform them into people who are willing to give you more. And for me, I had to be able to turn it into a tool, and I'm slowly, like, I'm nowhere near some of these other dudes, right? I'm still just scratching the very surface, but I have that now. I see the beginnings of it, and I want to help people get there where I am because I'm having so much fun. But one thing I got a question: why don't you have a Wikipedia? Why don't you have a wiki? Because that software is free and it's open source. You know, there was a big, you're probably familiar with it. There was a big Google Doc thing that somebody had up that had all of these artist styles, and it got took down by Google for a DMCA complaint. And now I have kind of an idea of what goes on behind the scenes when those DMCA complaints get launched. My guess is there wasn't a human being that ever reviewed that before the thing got took down. You know, you guys could run Wikipedia, you know, wiki on your server. I should be able to type in www.midjourney.com/wiki and have all of that information, because I've been told you're big into community, and that's a great way to build a community. Give us a channel on Discord, you know, MidJourney wiki channel. We can go in and talk to each other. You know, give us the platform, and we'll do the rest. And then we don't have to worry, because like right now there is a midjourney.fandom.com up site, but it ain't got but 9 articles last I checked. You know, and so that's there. It's an option. But on the one hand, you know, like you don't want your users having to wade through advertisements for the latest Jurassic Park sequel just to access documentation about your product, right? And then if it's on your site, we have some assurance that it's not just going to go away because of some bogus DMCA complaint that we all know ain't real. You see what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we started doing that, and I think there was a new effort for it. But I think there's a strong argument that like making it more publicly editable is probably really important. So I think that's a good point. And I really like the idea of like MidJourney cookbook, where we like try to have like I mean, we probably could do this honestly on the website, where like any picture you click, we could probably show you a cookbook view where you basically see like the little history all the way back to the beginning, and you could actually like we could make a little like we could do it. We could actually show you like you could almost like show them like we could probably make like a automatic cookbook maker for any image on Discord, because you know, if you kind of know how it's like, if you can write one out for like a single picture, you can make it a formula, and then you can make it automatically generate a cookbook for any image on there, which could be really cool too.
That sounds real cool. You could integrate that in with the wiki. And so you'd have that. You could have the videos. One idea I had for the videos, if you don't want to make them, you've got people in the community that are already making videos. Maybe you could reach out to some of these people like Olivia Serkius or Analog Dreams or Scott Detweiler, or some of these folks who were already making videos for MidJourney, and say, hey, yo, we've got some ideas for some videos. We'd like you to maybe think about making them. And if you do, we'll hook you up with a free year. That way you're getting that community involvement, right? I think that'd be good. So I see I got somebody here. Lady Vanna Black is waiting on me to shut up and stop talking. So I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna head out. I do want to leave you with one final thing though. Since I started, I've been hanging out in the trial support and the member support channel, right? Because I have derived a great deal of entertainment value out of this thing, and I like spreading joy, so I want that other people to have that. So I've been trying to help out, you know, with my limited knowledge. I don't know shit, but I do know enough to be able to help some folks. And I'm just going to tell you, those folks that's into them green names and them red names and minions you got in there, they are providing a tremendous service, right? They are doing a fantastic job. They are providing you exceptional value. And it's not even a fun job in the trial support. It's the same questions over and 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 so on. And it's not even the fun questions, it's the boring, dull, tedious questions. And they are doing a fantastic job. They are providing you exceptional value. I truly hope you are demonstrating your appreciation for them in some tangible way, some material way. But I pay. There was a fight that come out in the member support group earlier, about 3 hours ago, about now. Somebody was upset at the way that the upgrade process works, and I just wanted to touch on that just real quick. I paid you $40 for a $30 subscription, and I understand how and why it happened, right? And I feel like I have easily gotten $40 worth of value from your service so far. So I'm not real mad about it, right? Like when I think of all of the other ways I could have spent that $40 to entertain myself, I feel like I've gotten, I told you, when I first started on MidJourney, I made a whole bunch of pictures of the NFL quarterback Drew Brees and all these different artistic styles. And the fact that I was able to make pictures of him as drawn by famous horror manga artist Junji Ito, those pictures alone, that's worth $40. So it's kind of distressing because in some sense I peaked early. That was my second day, and it's all been downhill since then. I'll never attain those lofty heights again. That was worth $40. So I don't feel cheated. But the way the upgrade works now, I signed up for basic. That's 200 GPU minutes. And then when I switched to standard, y'all gave me another 900 GPU minutes. What I was expecting and what I think a lot of people were expecting, and what I think is causing some acrimony in the member support group, it certainly did earlier, was there's kind of this expectation was, okay, I signed up for the basic, I got my 200, I used my 200, now I want to upgrade to standard. I know that standard comes with 900. Y'all are going to deduct the 200 I've already used, and I'm gonna have 700 left, right? That's kind of how I was expecting it to go. But what y'all did was y'all just said, okay, we're going to give you the full 900 to go with the 200 you already used. Going to give you a discount for anything you got left over, which I didn't have, but I got like a 36-cent discount. So I see how it all hangs together, and I think a lot of it is that y'all value those fast minutes, and not all of us value those fast minutes. The only reason I upgraded in the first place was to have access to relax. That was the first command that I issued once I upgraded. I didn't, so handing me an extra 900 GPU minutes, that wasn't really the value. I would have, had you given me the option, right? If there had been an option, do you want to do it this way, the way we're doing it now, or would you rather just us deduct the stuff you've already used from the minutes you're going to get when you go to standard? I would have taken that second option for $20. So,
yeah,
like I say,
I think that's actually what we meant to do. For whatever it's worth, we meant to make it so it's subtracted out, but it was hard to do for the first product, and so they I think they just left it up. But it's on somebody's list. There's somebody who has a list right now, and on the list it says change how that works. So it's on somebody's list right now.
Well, I can say, you have people. I saw people in the channel that were, when all this conflagration was going on, that they value the fast minutes. For them, it is a good deal. For them, it is like, hey, I spent 200 minutes and now I'm gonna get 900 more. That's 1,100 minutes. That's awesome. So there are people who do value that, and so don't cut them off neither. Have an option. Give us a choice. You know what I mean? Options are great.
Yeah. I'll try to figure out if I can do it with an option. I think.
Man, you're smart. You're smart. You're young. You're good looking. You got it, man.
Yeah, we're a little overbooked. We're a little overwhelmed sometimes. Like we don't have enough people to make to type to make the computers do the stuff.
Right.
It's we want to do a lot of billing stuff. Actually, we think that people should be able to like make their own plan. You know, if you say I don't want any fast minutes, there should be a different plan for that. You could just
Oh, that'd
say
be cool.
like we're trying to figure out ways to have it so people can kind of make a custom plan too. We've been wanting to do that for a really long time. Yeah. I think when the next one or two hires we do, we're gonna put them on redoing the whole like plan system and make it like a lot cleaner because it is a little confusing. It's not ideal. It should have more customization in it. There's people who basically are like who want to spend more money who can. People who want to spend less money who. It's basically like it's not. Yeah. It was the best
Look,
we could do.
I can't program, but I can drive a truck. So if you ever need to hire a truck driver, look me up.
All right. It could happen.
I'm pretty good with people too. So if you ever want anybody to kind of keep their finger on the pulse of the new user experience, I'm your man. But otherwise, you have a fantastic day and have a fantastic week. And I'll talk to you later.
Thank you so much.
All right, I guess it's my turn now. I gotta follow up that, man. What a terrible idea on my part. Afterburner, you're cool as heck, man. David, thank you so much for letting me come up in here, and I'm sorry I sound like a damn gremlin. I just got back from a 4-day rock festival, so my voice is shot. I just had a very quick question, and this may have been answered before, but are there any plans at some point for us to have access to effectively layered versions of the outputs of the final images? I do 3D art and textures and things like that, and I would love to actually just get the individual elements to be able to start layering things on my own, but I can't do that currently with the raw images. So I literally just wanted to know if there's maybe plans to do that later.
So right now it doesn't have layers. It doesn't have layers in it. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to teach it in the future about layers so I can give them to you. So we are going to try to do something like that in the future. It might be like 2 months, but like I would be very unhappy if by the end of the year people weren't like pushing layers out like crazy, you know? Like I think this stuff should have layers. It's important, you know? I agree.
I gotta say, I work in a tech company in San Francisco, and to say something being shipped by the end of the year is far out. That like that's I can't. Well, I can't say anything in a way that's going to be work safe, but I can't get my engineers to get anything out nearly that quick unless it's something that breaks things. So that's fantastic to know that you're looking at getting something out so quickly, even though it may not happen just because it's a lot of work. But I appreciate
Yeah, I mean, I think that like I probably go with the Elon Musk philosophy of like everybody needs a everything. You always need a everything goes right date, you know? There's like the date that we have, like there's the everything goes right date. The everything goes right date for layers is like a month and a half. And then if it's double that, that's 3 months. That's the end of the year, I think. And so end of the year, hopefully, okay. I usually what I do is I take my like ideal date and I multiply it by 2. And then that means that if things are going okay and if things are going like half okay, then that usually means I'm doing okay. That usually means that my estimates are right. But every once in a while, things will like just go really bad, and then I'm like off by a factor or 2. But I don't know. It's like there's also an element of like, things always take longer than you want. So you should want them to happen as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I don't know. It's a fast space. We're a small team. I think that helps a lot. I mean, everyone was just saying earlier, like someone's like, man, the test image making algorithm that was released like 2 weeks ago. It feels like 2 years ago. Like there is, I feel like we're moving in accelerated time right now. It's intense. I mean, that's the best way to live, really. Like, I remember when like, now I'm just going off on an aside. This is a philosophical tangent. I think when I was like, when was it? I think I was like 22, and I was like, oh man, I'm like 22. That happened fast. I was just 20. Man, I could be like 24 anytime, and then 30. And then I'm like, oh no, I only get to say that. That's like 4 times, and then I'm dead. And I'm like, that. Oh God, oh no. And I was like, and I started like, I was like, when I was little, man, like a year was forever. You couldn't imagine a year. It was like, yeah, like the idea, even next week. And it was like, okay, if I have to choose how I perceive time and how I live through it, I want to live through time like the 6-year-old. I don't want to.
Oh God, right?
And so I really try to do that, and I think there's an element of that that's real, and yeah. I don't know if I'm an enlightened. I don't know if I'm an enlightened adult, but I'm probably a survived child.
You know what? I like that. I like that a lot. That's a good. I'm stealing that. I'm just telling
You
you
can
now. I'm
steal it.
stealing
Go
that. That's
ahead.
fantastic. But yeah, no, I appreciate you guys are working so hard and you're bringing some amazing stuff in. So keep it up. I'm really excited to see where everything goes. Very excited to maybe if I could break down my images into individual layers, I can finally learn what they're called because I'm trying to use it to teach myself. And there's some wispy stuff that I just call zizzle sticks right now, but I don't know what they actually are. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I
I
think
think layers are cool.
there'll probably be 2 ways that we do layers. One will be like we'll either just give you a single thing with an alpha mask. In that case, you're like
Oh,
making an object. Or what we'll do is we'll give you a depth map type of thing where you could slice it, and you kind of say like I want everything above this depth sliced into a different layer, and you kind of slice through it and kind of decide where your layers are. It's gonna be
oh
one of
God, you
those
stole
two.
my heart. Yeah, honestly, both of those options are fantastic, and I think they'd be really useful. And for any other artists that are actually like trying to use this to either slot it into their existing workflow or just learn from it, I think that both of those options would be wonderful. So
Yeah,
look
I
forward
think
to it
what's
whenever it manages to
def-
get out.
definitely the alpha will come first, and then the depth will come after that. I think what'll be cool is like eventually when you have the alpha, you'll have like a bunch of objects and scenes and you composite them together, and then you'll probably like ask it to remaster it one more time, and it'll like make it all blend together with the right lighting and everything, and that could be really cool.
Ooh, I do like that. Awesome. Thank you so much. That was the only question I had for now. You should go get some sleep.
I have one more meeting to do, so that I'm 20 minutes late to now, so I'm probably gonna go run to that. No, it's fault. Thank you so much for all the questions. I'm choosing to stay here. I'm in control.
Well, thank you so
So yeah,
much.
thank you. So thank you everyone for coming. I gotta run. We do this every week. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. I hope everyone is having fun. Uh, Feel free to throw feedback down into the channels anytime. We do read it all. And I am going to run unless there's somebody trying to stop me.
Yeah, I was on the queue and other people
Oh,
got up as
okay,
well. So
okay.
I'll
Last
be as
one.
brief as I can. I don't
Okay.
want to take up your time. I just want to say that usually I try to keep myself within the 5-minute range, and I try to let other people get their go. So I'm timing myself right now actually, just to make sure
Go
that I
ahead.
keep. So I'm going to talk a bit fast.
Go ahead.
And the main thing is also, by the way, about the layering thing. You can actually open up the layers that it makes as it makes the image and just save them as individual images so that you can layer them up yourself as well. Something I've been doing. I don't know if that helped you, lady. Anyway, so my main point is simply the fact that there is something about the generation itself. So that my question that I submitted was that how do you intend to separate the bias or built-in sort of moderation bias from objective or subjective values in art? And although it's a bit of a tongue twister or something hard to think about, in short, it basically says that two people can look at the same image and say that's beautiful and that's disgusting, and that's subjective and objective relativity of the art. For example, I've tried to generate something before here, generating for a character that my missus wants, and she's gonna hate me for saying this. She's rather large up top, and the problem with that is that that's everything we're trying to filter out for reasons that other people are making hard to do. Like other people are using it for all the wrong reasons, and so when we're trying to do it for the right reasons, it's getting filtered out. and that's because it's something that we're seeing as in NSFW. The big problem here is it's all about filtering, right? It's about teaching the AI the wrong thing. And we found something. I love that you brought up Emma Watson as well, which was hilarious because while we were trying to make a character that didn't look anything like her, we used the word beautiful in one of the prompts, and that was the only connective word that made one of the results put Emma Watson's face on her. So it's become a problem. The major thing is just because something has an attribute that people use as lewd doesn't mean it's a lewd thing. And I want to know what you guys are planning to do to uh, alter that, or like see where the gauge is, what end of each spectrum is allowed, and how far you can go on each end of the spectrum, if that makes sense.
What were the two sides of the spectrum called? What would you call them?
So let's say, okay, like for example, if you had one image that one person would say disgusting and one person would say is beautiful, how would you say that one thing is lewd and one thing's not lewd? How would you say something's accurate and not accurate? I understand a large part of that's down to ratings and rankings. The more we rank, the more the AI understands what is good and what is bad, and that goes down to moderation as well. But it's more or less along the lines of what can we do to filter out the bad, but still get access to the words we need to get the, like, for example, if you filter out everything that makes an image lewd, for example, when a character actually does have an attribute that's sometimes considered lewd, how do you get that in the character? If that makes sense.
Yeah. We're just gonna do our best. I mean, that's one thing. We're gonna try to make sure it's not all of our. We're gonna try to have people who are rating things that aren't our users, maybe don't even know what's going on. So that way, like, we kind of remove the context from it a little bit. You know, we're gonna try to get people to rate things along multiple dimensions, not like what's just beautiful, but like what has good colors and what has good lighting and which one
Voting
matches the
for
text better.
pointers,
You know,
yeah.
and I think as you start to break out the different dimensions, you also start to sort of be able to, you know,
Yeah.
I think better to handle it. I mean, I think at the,
Sorry, go ahead.
I think that we want to. I think we want to make sure that we don't have any bad feedback loops. But I think there is also another element of this, which is kind of beautiful. It's like in some ways, like MidJourney is the flower and you're the bee, and like you know, the flowers are trying to be beautiful for the bee, and the bee actually gets to decide which flower is beautiful, and the two over time evolve together, and I think that is potentially something really cool, and we should try to let that happen and see what happens. We don't know, no one knows what that'll do, but I think that's really interesting, and I want to know what that does.
Yeah.
And then maybe it does something really bad, and maybe it does something really good. I think it's kind of what you want to make sure is you want to make sure you don't have one type of bee, right? Because like if you only have one kind of bee, then maybe they all like one flower, and all of a sudden you lose all the other flowers, right? But theoretically, if you have enough bees, enough different types of bees, then you get kind of like the full brilliance and beauty and diversity of nature, which hopefully is good enough. You know? And we can probably do some things outside of that that's like a little weird, like where it just kind of goes a little like maybe it gives you 9 pictures in the future and 2 of them are always crazy, you know? But I don't know. I think we'll try to do our best, but the co-evolution thing, I think, is there is something that's kind of beautiful about that, and I want to explore that too.
Yeah. I thank you for your question and giving me the opportunity to speak. And I'm just at the 5-minute mark that I've set myself. So I just want to say that two quick things before I'll pop off and get out your hair. One, I hate the one more thing, but I'm being quick. So although the answers I got exactly weren't in line with it, I also didn't say a lot of the big things because my list is massive and I shorten it down as much as I can. It's just how it goes when people spend more time talking about random stuff. Anyway, it's not just related to NSFW stuff, but my problem is the bias that is generated through filtering out certain things. Let's say culturally, it's about culture as well. So if someone in certain cultures, say India, there's a lot of short men, and so you'll find more generations from from Indian people generating taller men because they find that attractive, you'll find that that is a common thing. And if you're filtering that out as well, but you're not filtering out, you're not filtering that out, but you are filtering out other things that are more commonly used in Western world for attractiveness. It depends. The other thing I want to say is also, everyone's got to drink some water when you leave this room, please, because all of you've been sitting here for hours, and I this is addictive. Like, your program is incredible. I've spent hours not eating and not getting up when I really should have been, not sleeping when I should have been. I've got to moderate myself now and actually like drink water and stuff. But I've said
I would say I've seen a lot of people use it, and you do chill out eventually.
right, I don't think I will. I've been an artist and a carpenter and all kinds of stuff for years. But
There's like a flow you get to. It's like a flow you get to. You know, it's like you gotta like you're paying off some aesthetic debts and getting the feet, like going for a run the first time and like going a bit nuts, and it does
Anyway.
chill out usually a little. But yeah, I mean,
I've,
bias is hard. We have to do our best, but also like maybe there's something interesting in like allowing people to kind of try to seek the transcendent, even if it's not them and even if it isn't reality, because maybe one day it will be. You know, maybe in the future everybody is tall and beautiful. Like, if that's what we want to be, and we want to set that as a goal for a species, we can do that. You know.
My point was that let's say for I hate to bring it up because it's something we're trying to avoid, but the large chest thing was my missus, that's a characteristic she was trying to make for a D&D thing, but it's something you're filtering out. So every single result that you couldn't relate to.
I think there's a way to do it. I would I would go to the prompt chat and ask, and I think there's a way to get to it.
There's a rule in your first. It's one of your early rules is do not circumvent stuff. But when it's all about context. If you're reading someone's prompt and it says no arms, no clothes on arms, no clothes on legs, no clothes on body, they're trying to circumvent it for negative reasons. But if it's clearly someone trying to do it just for character design reasons, that's where the moderation is. You have to decide what's good and what's not.
Yeah, so we don't ban people. We don't ban people for circumventing rules. Like when it's sort of a thing like that. Like, you know, if the moderators can tell. The moderators can tell. Like it's pretty obvious. Like it's a big difference between like woman. It's like woman who's large versus like Emma. No bathing.
Emma Watson's become a meme, by the way, in one of our servers. Emma Watson's become a meme. We're doing like an image generation for a game, and someone just put Emma Watson on a balloon just because it was funny. So yeah, it's become a meme at this point.
Like, you can definitely tell. Like, some people, there was like one person, I think it was just all like they made like 10,000 images of like macro super close up of a sweat bulging bicep. Like, you can tell what's going on. But like, it's actually pretty hard. It's pretty hard to like. It's pretty transparent what's happening.
I'm sorry, I've got to cut you off. I've got to go. I'm sorry.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you for answering my questions. Everyone drink water.
Thank you. Cool. So, yeah, I gotta go too. Some poor person's been waiting 30 minutes for me, so I appreciate everybody for coming. Thank you for being part of the community. I hope everyone's having fun. We're gonna do these every week, so Wednesdays at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. One day I will do one at a different hour for everybody who this is a bad hour for. I'm sorry. But I haven't been able to do it the last 2 weeks. But we'll keep doing it at this time at least. And I'll see everyone next week. Thank you, everyone.